ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Sprint. The chase for the Sprint Cup comes to you with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Only from Sprint and only on the Now Network. Aflac. Ask about it at work. Chevy. The most wins in NASCAR history. That's an American revolution. And McDonald's.
4 races to go in the NASCAR Sprint Cup season, and today it is Atlanta. 43 drivers ready to tackle this very fast track on a beautiful fall afternoon. 48 is the number that they're all chasing. Jimmy Johnson starting on pole. Several drivers hoping to upstage Jimmy today, though, Shannon.
One of those drivers is Jimmy Johnson's Hendrick Motorsports teammate, Jeff Gordon. It's been 37 races since Gordon's last win, and he says that this team this season has just been a little off, but they've been working very hard to try to catch up. Now, as for this weekend, Gordon said that in practice, he felt like some moments this team was great, and if they can just all put it together, then it'll be the rest of the field chasing the 24 all the way to victory lane. Mike Massaro?
Thanks, Shannon. You know, in years past, when you come to Atlanta, the grandstands will be full of a sea of red. But for the Legion of Earnhardt fans, that color has changed to green. But for them, it's more than just T-shirt color. They're green with envy. Envy of other drivers' wins. So far in 2008, Dale Jr. has just one victory. But today, win number 2 could come. Remember, back in the spring, Dale Jr. led 62 laps and finished 3rd. He's coming off a strong second-place finish at Martinsville. Feels like he's got the momentum and could break through for win number 2 this afternoon. Alan?
All right, Michael, a couple guys that we will be talking to here and talking about, keeping an eye on as we go throughout the afternoon. I know you've Rusty, been over in Memphis watching the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, but Carl Edwards looked awfully strong over there yesterday. Any of that momentum transfer for him here?
Absolutely, it's going to. I mean, he's got a lot of momentum on his side right now. He's pretty well jacked up, and the team's got the morales really high right now, Alan. And we know he's really good at this style of racetrack. He'll be working that high side off of turn 3 and 4. Making adjustments throughout the day, and I think he's going to be really strong throughout this race. Even though it's kind of a chilly day, you got to keep yourself cool there inside the race car too. A little Ziploc bag of ice there. Tuck that up underneath the driver's uniform. Yeah, I wouldn't think he'd need that today because it's a pretty cool day out there. About 70 degrees right now. Going to be about 72 the high here, but this guy's he's in great shape, and he knows what he needs.
Tell you who to watch today is Kevin Harvick. He was very fast in both practices. I think he's going to sneak up and get to the front today. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to me to see how this new tire plays out over the course of 500 miles. This racetrack is one of the most demanding on that right front tire, and there are a lot of people curious to see how that unfolds themselves over the course. All right, time for these drivers to buckle up those window nets and get them cranked up. Let's go trackside for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome Senior Vice President of Merchandising and Marketing for Pep Boys, Scott Webb.
On behalf of Pep Boys, Manny, Mo, and Jack, and NASCAR fans across our great land, gentlemen, start your engines!
Bring them up, gang. Crank it. All right. Fired up. Crank it up. All right, fired up, buddy. Really focus on being creative here, man. Go for those wins, get all the points that we can, and everything else will shake out just the way we need it to. Chad said, let's just keep focusing on ultimate points, winning races, leading laps. Just another race, just another trophy we're after. We take care of that, everything will take care of itself.
Here's a little big picture there from Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson. Just focus on wins, take care of getting trophies, and everything else will take care of itself. How about some of these other guys that are chasing that 48 today? Jamie Little?
Well, Greg Biffle's one of those drivers, and although he's 149 points behind the 48 team of Jimmy Johnson, as he told us in the pre-race show, do not count him out of this championship hunt. We're on a mile-and-a-half track. He always excels at these types of tracks. When I asked him which track he has the best opportunity of the next 4, he said all of them. I can win at all 4. He rolls off on the front row today. Perhaps he'll narrow that gap to our leader, Jimmy Johnson. Dave Burns?
Jamie Carl Edwards won here in 2005. In his 17th try, it was his first win in the Sprint Cup Series, and he did it in dramatic fashion, passing Jimmy Johnson on the final lap, coming off the final corner, just rubbing him to get his win here. I talked with crew chief Bob Osborne about remembering that. He said, I sure do. I knew we had something in Carl Edwards, but even he impressed me that day. Will we see the backflip again today? Well, we could, and it would tremendously help his chase chances. But he still has to have a down day from Johnson and others if his up day is going to mean anything. Doc?
Thanks, Dave. And now the question is, will the track that gave Carl his first Cup win be kind to him today and allow him to narrow the gap on Jimmie Johnson and maybe move a little bit closer to his first Cup title? Well, why don't we ask him, because Carl is our in-race reporter.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you, Dale.
Hey, Carl, we've heard yourself and many other drivers talk about how special this racetrack is. Can you tell our viewers exactly what makes it so exciting for you drivers?
There's a couple of things for me. I mean, right off the bat, 2005, the win here with Jimmy was just an unbelievable moment in my career. It really got everything rolling and meant the world to me. And then just as a driver, when you come here, you can race 3, 4 wide, right up by the fence, down by the line. I mean, you know how it is, Dale. It's just it's a blast to go down these corners and slide these cars around at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Carl, our next question comes from our ESPN mailbag. Dave in Hastings, Nebraska would like to know, people are always sawing the wheel in the new car. Has your experience on dirt tracks helped you run well this season?
Yeah, I think so, you know. Some of these guys never run dirt and they run great, but, racing places like I-80 Speedway up in Omaha or, in Sedalia, Missouri, or Holt Summit or Moberly, all those places, that really helps, I think, in a place like this. Being a mile and a half, it still drives like a half-mile dirt track as far as the momentum.
All right, Carl, thanks for talking with us. Have a great day. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Bob Osborne.
Hello, Bob. Andy Petrie, if you got us. Hello, Bob Osborne, Andy Petrie, if you got us up here.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, Bob. Sorry about the technical difficulty there. Tell us how the strategy here at Atlanta will be different than some of the other mile-and-a-half racetracks we've raced on this year.
This track's so abrasive on tires, you really have to worry about your tires and manage them through the race run. And 10 laps into a run, you're going to come back down pit road for a set of tires, that's for sure, where some of the other mile-and-a-half tracks, you'd stay out for track position. But here, the tire is so important, you got to come down for tires.
Okay, Bob, we'll be watching for that today, and good luck to you guys. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe some concern for Bob Osborne in the 99 team. We'll come back and talk about what we think is going to happen in just a moment here at Atlanta. The sun is shining brightly here over Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we are just moments away from the start. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Bunch, along with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie. Glad to have you with us. While Jimmie Johnson's 149-point lead with 4 races to go may appear comfortable, mathematically, he could lose the points lead today and even leave here as far back as 3rd in the point standings. Now, in recent years, we have seen serious contenders and even points leaders leave here with horrible finishes. Guys, why?
Well, one of the reasons, Doc, is because this track is very hard on engines. The turns are very broad. You keep a lot of RPMs. They hang up in that high RPM range for a long period of time, and that does cause engine problems. We've seen that over the years. That, not saying that Jimmie Johnson needs to worry about that, but that is one of the things that happens at this racetrack.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and the other thing is we have a very slick surface, and you've heard all of these guys talk about it. These cars aren't handling very well for these guys, and there is no driver out there, regardless of the amount of talent, that is immune from the possibility of something big happening to them today. So you better stay with us, because this could get exciting.
If you look over the 4-year history of the Chase, we've had Chase contenders 16 different times leave here with finishes of 20th place or worse. In fact, back in 2004, Kurt Busch came in with a very comfortable lead like Jimmie Johnson and blew the engine on lap 51 and finished 42nd. So it certainly can't happen here at Atlanta in a hurry. We'll take you inside the action today with onboard cameras on 8 different cars, 7 of which are our Chase contenders, including points leader Jimmie Johnson. Monterey, California native Sean Irvin will take us over the wall as he slings the jack around Jamie McMurray's Ford during pit stops throughout the afternoon. We'll look forward to watching Sean's action there, the very frenetic pace during pit activity. It is a 500-mile, 325-lap race, purse of over $6.2 million. And there's the pit window, guys.
Yeah, you can see you can go 50 to 55 laps on fuel, but you'll see these drivers looking for pit road a whole lot sooner than that.
Yeah, they'd rather get there a lot sooner than that. And I can assure you, folks, that 325 laps is a long time in the race car here.
Well, we talked about the favorites, but guys, what about the sleepers today?
I'm going to pick one of my old drivers, Paul Menard. He looked great in practice, and he's had one of his best finishes of his career right here at Atlanta. And so I'd like to see this 15 car up front and maybe see him get a win today.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm going to go with a guy that had a lot of problems last weekend at Martinsville, but Kurt Busch looked pretty good in practice yesterday. Let's see what he can do here today.
Kurt Busch, 4 top 10 finishes. He won this race back in October of 2002. Folks, for the 10th time in 2008, they line up by points because qualifying was rained out. Remember now, Jimmie Johnson was not very good in either practice yesterday. 17th and 21st. Could this be the day that Edwards, Biffle, Burton, and others narrow the gap? Remember, Jimmie Johnson is chasing history, but today, everyone else is chasing him. Here they come to the green flag at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
It didn't take long to start slipping and sliding. The guys couldn't even get up through the gears before they were spinning the tires.
This shows you how slick this surface really is. Here we got them racing all over the racetrack here. 3 wide getting into 1.
It is very important for Carl Edwards to try to run Jimmie Johnson down. Why? Because Jimmie did not lead a single lap here in the spring, and Carl would like to keep him from getting these 5 bonus points, but he may run out of time here on lap 1. Here he comes, though.
Yeah, Jimmie got a nice jump on the start. Everybody that was spinning, his tires spun a little bit less than those guys, and he'll get those 5 bonus points on this first lap.
So Jimmie has now done something he couldn't do back in March when he finished as the last car on the lead lap. But I don't think Carl's going to wait very long to be able to make this pass.
He was the fastest car in both practice sessions here, so I expect to see this 99 car get this lead from Jimmie Johnson. Although the talk in the garage was that maybe Jimmie wasn't that great on the sheet, but he had a great car when the practice was over.
Yeah, Jimmie talked that he didn't necessarily, he wasn't concerned that they didn't run that fast lap, but he thought they made their car a lot better in the longer runs in the latter part of the last practice session yesterday, and that's looking to be true right now.
The big question coming in this weekend, we talked about all the Goodyear testing and the new right side tire, just how long it would last and how consistent it would be here in the early laps.
Well, you see we've run, what, 2 laps now, and they're already sliding all the way to the top and using that high groove. Oh, we got trouble here on the backstretch.
Sideways, a 21 car, Bill Elliott. Sam Hornish also involved.
Straight right there, straight out right there.
I don't know how much damage Bill has. It's unfortunate because he had a good car in practice yesterday.
He had one of the better cars in that practice. I was talking to guys in the garage this morning, and they said that Bill had a really good car.
See, the right front tire's flat, right rear's flat. I don't know if he has contact on that left side.
What worries me is he's not rolling, like something else must be wrong.
Down 5.
You can see what happened here coming off the corner.
He kind of got squeezed 2 ways. 01 of Regan Smith got him, and Bill had to kind of get out of the throttle, and then Sam Hornish got into the left rear and sent Bill spinning. It looked like he did have a little contact with that left front on the inside wall. This is a problem that you face all the time here. Car just doesn't give you, I'm not sure Regan Smith, well, you can see it wasn't really anything what Regan Smith did. It was all Sam Hornish getting into the left rear.
Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, a 5-time winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway, involved in the first car turn of the day. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Under caution here at the Pep Boys Auto 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's listen into the audio on the Greg Biffle radio a moment ago regarding the restart.
Left way before the flag. Careful, but it's okay. That was ridiculous. That was complete ridiculous. Yeah, he's probably figuring out was the only lap he was going to get the lead all day.
He was talking about the start of the race when Jimmie Johnson spun the tires. Here it is a moment ago.
Back, but that is the only time that the flagman actually starts the race, but he is the pole sitter, and he can literally get it started himself.
And they wanted to make sure that Jimmie Johnson did not lead a single lap today. They didn't want him to get those 5 bonus points, so either him or Carl, one could jump him on the start and get by.
Too late now.
Yeah, guess what? It didn't happen.
Yeah, it's very seldom you're going to get anything, any lashback from NASCAR if you jump the start of the race. I mean, that's just basically up to you, but you try to coincide with the flagman, and normally we have someone special doing that. Here comes Biffle trying to get that lead.
Wow, he's coming big time.
Already moved up on the middle to top side of the racetrack.
Greg Biffle second in the point standings in the chase, and now second on the racetrack. He said in the media center on Friday, this championship is far from over. If I can get it close at Homestead, where he's won 3 times, I got a great shot to become this year's champion.
I don't think anybody came into this race with any more confidence than Greg Biffle. We kind of got that last week at Martinsville after the race. He was very confident he was going to have a shot at this thing.
I mentioned the 2 cars involved in the first caution. Bill Elliott and Sam Harness were both held a lap on pit road a moment ago for pulling up to pit, and both are now back on the racetrack.
Yeah, we also had a lot of cars to pit during that caution, Andy. We only had 4 laps under green and guys changing tires already.
I talked to Chad Knaus in the garage this morning, and I asked him, what if the caution comes out at lap 10? Are you going to pit? He said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, how about lap 5? He says, yes, I'm coming to get tires. Dave?
And talking with Chad this morning, guys, we're talking earlier about him not being the fastest car on the speed charts during final practice yesterday. Chad said, overall, I'm not extremely happy. I would have liked some more speed out of it. But late in the session, when we put on new tires and Carl put on new tires and others did, we looked at our lap times, and they were very comparable, and we were happy with our race car at that point. And that's a good determiner. Jamie?
And Greg Biffle and his crew chief Greg Irwin had high expectations for this race. Now, after happy hour yesterday, they were 5th on the chart, but Greg was not that thrilled. He was actually kind of frustrated. Greg told me, I had to go to his motor coach this morning. We had to have a talk in person, not on the phone. They came up with a plan, and I think this restart was all part of the plan, guys. After that radio communication, Greg said, I guess we need to start doing it differently.
Pretty good battle here on the racetrack. The car that won here in the spring with the driver, Kyle Busch, in the 18, looking across from his teammate Tony Stewart at the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, I've been watching these guys for the last 2 laps, and Kyle Busch looks like he'd been struggling quite a bit. He was trying to run the bottom, but it looked like his car just wouldn't go down there. So he's now moved up to the top side of the racetrack and seems to be running just a little bit better. Although he seems to be struggling right in the center of the corner. Dale Jr.'s up on the high side making some good time.
These tires are going to go away real fast, and you're going to see the lap time slow down about another second even from where they are right now. So expect the complexion of this race to change as the tires wear down. Shannon?
The last word over the radio from Tony Stewart was that the car is pretty drivable. Right now, he's dropped back to 12th. He started this race 8th. His crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, told me that they started this race a little on the tight side. He said that was comfortable for Tony Stewart, and in order to do that, they did sacrifice a little bit of speed. Zipadelli told me we'll be able to adjust during the race, but I wanted him to be comfortable for the start.
Thanks, Shannon. Back up front, the 99 of Edwards just flies by his teammate Greg Biffle for 2nd position.
I think Greg said, okay, let's see if you can do anything with that 48 car. I can't.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive, the 48 staying out and getting the lead that he's gotten. But, you know, you can run these cars as hard as you want to at the beginning, but you're going to pay the price at the end of a run.
We're terrible, Irwin. I don't know. I just can't. Just wants to run into the fence. You lose it, then it shoves it out.
It's like Jeff Gordon sneaking in the picture here behind Greg Biffle.
We heard a pretty confident Jeff Gordon talking in the pre-race show that he felt like that he had a pretty good car here. We didn't see that much in practice yesterday, but we did see towards the end of it that they made their car a lot more consistent.
Jeff Gordon is a 4-time winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Remember, he made his very first career start at this track in the fall event, this race here, 16 years ago.
Just watch him work this steering wheel, and you can see just how slick the racetrack is. He's kind of moved around. He's on the top side here going into 1 and 2. See how close he gets to that wall. And then down in 3 and 4, he's running right on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find that grip.
Our direct TV telemetry shows him sort of feather that throttle, trying to get back in at the corner.
He'll be feathering that throttle even more later in this run, won't he, Dale?
Yeah, he sure will, because as these tires continue to go away and you lose grip, you're going to have to just work that throttle. Here we got 3 wide battle going by Kevin Harvick. Got Denny Hamlin on the top side, his teammate Kyle Busch in the middle, trying to make a pass there. They go by Harvick. Here comes Dale Jr. by Kevin Harvick. Harvick had one of the better cars in practice yesterday, but he's sliding back right now.
That is 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th on the screen. Shannon.
It's no surprise that Kevin Harvick was fast in practice. This is their go-to car. In 8 starts, this car has finished in the top 10 7 times. The team has turned back to it for this weekend. And before the race started, Kevin Harvick came over the radio and said, guys, I'm wearing my red shoes today. He's been wearing black shoes in the past couple races, just looking to get a jump start on his luck here today.
You drivers will try about anything to change your luck, won't you, Dale?
Yeah, pretty much anything. If we think it'll work, it'll make us better, we're all for it most of the time.
Kevin Harvick on the bottom of the racetrack, who was so good in both practice sessions here on Saturday.
Yeah, watching these guys battle, this is a perfect example of just how you can run different lanes on this racetrack. It makes it fun. We see Matt Kenseth going to the bottom. He's been on the high side of the racetrack, but now he's going to go to the bottom down in 3 and 4. And that's probably the thing that you'll see most down there, guys being on the bottom. That's the corner that if you want to, you can stay on the bottom most of the time. We see Carl Edwards has caught Jimmy Johnson now and trying to take that lead away.
Yeah, while these other guys are back there racing, Carl Edwards has been going to work here trying to figure out how to catch this 48. Looks like he's figured it out.
Yeah, this is who everybody said after the practice session yesterday you had to watch. Carl Edwards had the best car. It was fast and it was really good on long runs.
Early laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 4 races to go in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Carl Edwards starting to move in now. And it was a 1.2-second lead, and now Edwards digging on the bottom of the racetrack.
He was one of the few cars in practice that could run right on that white line. Even though his car didn't look stable, it was pretty fast down there.
Yeah, it's really a handful, especially down in 1 and 2 after you get some laps on the tires to get your car off of that corner with the momentum that you need. But you can see that Jimmy Johnson would actually pull him off of that corner and down the back straightaway a little bit. Jimmy goes to the bottom in 3 and 4.
Let's check in with Dave.
And you can definitely sense these two drivers and teams sizing each other up this weekend. Chad Knaus told me this morning the 99 is going to try to get out and lead the most laps and win the race. We just want to lead the last one and stay in the top 5 all day, as now Edwards continues to pressure Johnson.
I think the reason you see these guys pushing so hard with the 99 team is they need to lead the most laps. They have to make up a lot of points on Jimmy Johnson. You can see he's driving this car extremely hard off the corner. He was sideways off turn 4.
That's a power move right there. His car seems to get in the corner a little bit better. Jimmy's a little bit quicker back to the throttle. But Carl Edwards is just driving that car.
You can see the white gloves inside of Carl's 99 car. He was just sawing that steering wheel like he was swatting flies inside the car back and forth, but he was able to make the pass. Just past the 20-lap mark at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Wow, what a race early on. 4 races to go in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and they're chasing Carl Edwards. Let's take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. At which of the remaining tracks is Jimmy Johnson most likely to suffer a bad finish? Is it A, Atlanta, B, Texas, C, Phoenix, or D, Homestead? To play, you can text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and send in your answer. The results will be shown later in the race. Standard text rates will apply. There's not a category for none, huh?
Yeah.
The guys that the driver you guys said early today and yesterday would win this race was the 88. He said this morning, I think you guys might have jinxed him, but he's coming in a hurry.
Oh, no, we didn't jinx him. He was 4/10 faster than the leader of the last lap. You see how he's working that extremely high line, and that works great here at Atlanta on old tires.
Yeah, and Andy, we noticed something yesterday in practice. He didn't run the fast lap, but we both noticed that his first lap on the racetrack, he was right against the wall. He knew that's where he was going to run. Dave?
Crew Chief Tony Eury Jr. told me this morning that car won't put up a stellar lap early in the run, but after 4 or 5 laps, it'll start coming to him. And at the start of the run, a little bit tight. As the run went on, as he got up into the high line, a little loose, but as you've noted, very, very fast.
Another car making a move is this 55 of Michael Waltrip. It started back in 29th position. Michael has now gained 14 spots in 28 laps.
And all of it's been right against the wall, too, and that's not surprising. We know how Michael likes to get up there and rim ride, and he's doing a great job. Got himself up to the 16th spot right now. He had passed Ryan Newman they keep battling for this 15th spot.
Here comes the 88 going by Greg Biffle.
Man, he made that look easy.
I think Biffle's struggling with his car, but Junior is on that high side, really gaining a lot of time. He's just the quickest car out there by quite a bit right now.
He was over 5 tenths faster than Carl Edwards.
He finished third here back in March. Excuse me, Andy Earnhardt Jr. did. He led 62 laps, had a good car back then.
Yeah, he did. And you know, the one thing about this, and going with that route that Junior has taken, and that's running up at the top from the very beginning, you don't wear your tires as much up there. You don't have to put as much steering input, so you don't slide around quite as much. He backs off the gas early and then drives the car around the corner.
Well, what's a disadvantage of running up high like Earnhardt's running?
Well, there's really not any. I mean, at this point in time, there's nothing. You can't lay down. Whoa, he got
That's
into
the disadvantage. That's what I worry about, is getting too close to that wall.
Yeah, but he's not going to lay down a fast lap, but most of them are going to be good solid laps.
Well, let's see what Jeff Burton is running in terms of his line. This is the car that, whoa, a little bit of a wiggle, the car that he won with at Charlotte 2 weeks ago.
He's still wiggling that car. That thing is out of control on the bottom. Mike?
You know, it's funny you use the term out of control. That's the same phrase Jeff Burton used after practice on Saturday afternoon when he was talking with his crew chief, Scott Miller. Scott had to reassure him, though. He said, look, it's all relative. Everybody out there is going to be out of control, but at the end of the day, somebody's going to win the race. It's all about manageability. Jeff certainly understands that. They feel like they found a way to control the race car. Right now, a little bit twitchy, a little bit tight, but this is the car they won with in Charlotte, so they're coming into this race optimistic that they can score a pretty solid finish, guys.
I can assure you Jeff Burton's going to be wore slam out by the time this thing is over, the way he's fighting that car. But he's doing a great job with it, and it takes a lot of time, a veteran driver, to be this patient with that race car. But he's doing a great job up in the 6th spot.
Remember, he is third in the point standing, just 152 back of Jimmy Johnson, maybe the best shot he has had in the last 5 years to win a Cup Series title. 78 car, Joe Nemechek, front row Joe. About to be overtaken by the 99, our leader. Joe is back in 41st position.
Now, Carl Edwards is out front. Of course, if you remember back just a couple of races ago, how much that meant at Charlotte to be out front. But he's actually, the last few laps, has been slower than Jimmy Johnson in that 2nd spot, and quite a bit slower than Dale Jr. as we see him now making this pass on Jeff Gordon for the 3rd position.
That's one thing that's neat about that high line, too, is that you really don't get held up much. I mean, you can see he just basically has it all to himself right there, able just to motor right on by the 24.
Yeah, he'll find some guys that'll give him a little more competition later on in trying to hold him off of that spot. Jamie?
Well, guys, the track conditions certainly changing. You're starting to hear different things from drivers now. Jeff Gordon's plan with his crew chief, Steve Letarte, he said he wanted to make Jeff, quote, comfy the first 300 laps and then free him up at the end. But Jeff just said he's a little loose in, pretty loose off, and he's tight through the middle. But overall, pretty happy with the car. And Steve Letarte told his driver, hey, man, today is your day. Don't worry about being polite on the radio. It's getting serious, guys. I think they want to go for that win. Trouble on the track.
Car in the wall is Scott Riggs up into the outside wall there in turn 3.
Yeah, we've run about 35 laps, and we expect to see the highest tire wear in these first laps, and that may have been what you saw here. Looks like the right front tire's down on this 66. Yeah, he's one of the cars that did the tire test.
That's what I was going to say. Kind of ironic that guy that did the tire test here, one of the 3 drivers, would have a tire issue here early on.
So we can see what happened to Scott going down the backstretch and entering the corner there. To get a little help.
Oh yeah,
that's not a tire problem.
No,
that thing went flat because of the contact.
Yeah, a little contact from Elliott Sadler there. Elliott was trying to pull out and make the pass and seemed to misjudge that just slightly.
This will be a great opportunity for these cars to get in here and check the tire wear.
The thing is, when you have this little grip, it doesn't take much with these cars to send them the wrong way, and unfortunate for Scott Riggs today.
Pit road will be open. We are under caution for the 2nd time of day, and the 78 car, Joe Nemechek, will get the free pass. He's the first car a lap down. He'll be able to go back and get back on the lead lap. That'll mean we now have 40 cars that are still on the lead lap. Look how busy this is about to be in the pits here as they get ready to come down at 45 miles an hour.
It's going to be busy down there. These guys are all going to get 4 tires. You won't see any 2-tire strategy here.
Here they come. Follow the leader. Headed to you, Jamie Little.
And Jeff Gordon, as we reported, tight in the middle, a little loose in, loose out. They're going to make a wedge adjustment to fix those conditions, and 4 tires for your 4-time winner. That long trek down into his pit box. You see the crew go around to the right side, working on those right side tires. Pretty good. He's comfy in the car. That was the key, as Steve Letard's crew chief told me. Work around the left side, and 4 tires for Jeff Gordon. Dave?
Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards pit 1 right next to the other. Carl Edwards will take the air pressures down on the left side, just a little bit tight at the start of the run. Jimmie Johnson will get a chassis adjustment. His car was no rear grip off too, and Johnson will win off of pit road. He had that preferred pit stall, guys, and it's already paid off.
And Kevin Harvick also forced out in the grass to avoid the car number 2 coming out. So, boy, how tight was it in the pits? Jimmie Johnson gains a spot. Carl Edwards couldn't get out. We'll settle it all when we come back in a moment.
Monday Night Football, good matchup for you this week. The Colts at 3-3 taking on the last undefeated team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans. Colts kind of need to get it going. Should be a great game. Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. Been a running back show for the Tennessee Titans so far. 8 touchdowns in 6 games this season. We'll see if the Titan running game can keep winding it up against the Colt defense. That was last week against Kansas City. The numbers for Tennessee as they won 34-10 to remain undefeated. Now here in Atlanta, let's talk championship racing-wise and the games we play. Watch how Carl Edwards pulls into his pit box and Jimmie Johnson his.
Oh, Jimmie just comes in and he's legal now. He's got the nose in the box. The back of the car can hang out. But because of that, when they get ready to leave pit road, Carl Edwards can be blocked in a little bit. That's going to hurt him. So that's going to make Carl mad. And he'll probably get a little talking to.
It's going to make Carl a little upset. I think Jimmie didn't do it on purpose, though. You guys talking about games with Jim. I think it's just inadvertently happened. We'll see.
Little log
busy
jam
down there. Look, 18 comes out on the 2. 29's forced out in the grass on by. I don't know. And about that 48 deal, you know what it's like under the boards. 4 to go. They're under the boards, man. And that was a legal pick.
That is a legal pick.
Yeah, legal
like
pick.
That. That's good.
And DJ, I thought a mistake on Edwards' part in that 99 for pulling in nose close to the wall with his car instead of pointing it out the other way.
Yeah, that was a little bit close for him, and I'm sure Carl's going to stop a little bit shorter and with his nose pointed out the other way now that he sees how the games are being played today.
And the 88 car lost 3 spots. He had to wait for the 22 car to pull in, so that cost Dale Earnhardt Jr. 3 spots. A little gamesmanship there on pit road. Let's see if Carl now can catch Jimmie on the racetrack and go back by.
I don't think he's going to want to waste much time. I think his temperature's up just a little bit after that little pit road incident. Nothing illegal about it.
Both of these cars have stretched the lead on the 3rd place car. Here goes Carl. Jimmie's not giving it to him.
Well, Jimmie's car in that first run was awful good on the new tires, and these guys are saying after practice yesterday that they felt like they got at least 7, 8, maybe 10 good laps out of the tires before they started really going away. You can see Carl, he's sawing the wheel already. You can see those gloves in there.
He just joined our coverage. Jimmie Johnson was the pole sitter by virtue of starting by points. He has led twice now for 23 laps. Carl Edwards has led once for 16 laps. Scott Speed led a lap during that caution flag when everyone else pitted. He stayed on the racetrack. But we're telling you the laps led because it's very important that Carl Edwards lead the most laps today or not allow Jimmie to do that.
Got racing going on everywhere. Here we see 3 wide racing. Brian Vickers, Jamie McMurray up on the high side. They split Clint Boyer there.
This 26 car has been strong the last few weeks, and it looks pretty good right now in the early part of this race.
Yeah, and these are the type of racetracks that Brian Vickers has been very strong on. Even though he ran a good race last week, they got that severe penalty for messing with the sheet metal on their race car.
Right side of your screen, 20 car. Tony Stewart trying to make a pass there. That would be for 16th position. Stewart, Clint Boyer behind him. The 8 car of Mark Martin.
There goes Edwards.
We'll try to make that pass off 2. I don't think you can do that on the bottom coming off a 2. You might get up beside him and then beat him down into 3 if you got. You'd have to really get a good run because you just have to come out of the throttle right at that point. Carl's car's really good getting down into the corner. see Jimmy get back to the throttle. I think Carl lost the front end just a little bit right there as he got really close to the 48.
You could hear him getting the throttle pretty hard and then have to get out of it all of a sudden. So you can see how the track's already getting slick.
Here's the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. And DJ, you were watching these guys on pit road a moment ago. They get it done every single week.
Yeah, they do get it done. And part of that is Matt Kenseth doing his job getting in there. But these guys, for Matt Kenseth, do a great job in the pits. And they pick that first pit box coming in off of turn 4. And I think that's not a bad thing to do. Lets them get back to it, get their car, and he's on the move after that and doesn't have to worry about a lot of other cars and certainly nobody blocking him in.
Up front, Jimmy Johnson holding on now is on the high groove. And again, Carl dives to the bottom of the racetrack. But can he hold it coming off of turn 2? No.
Well, this has been a hornet's nest right here. Montoya is working the top side of the racetrack. These guys are 3 wide all the way off turn 4 to the start-finish line last lap.
Dave Burns.
Interesting watching these leaders on the left side of your screen. Remember, the 99 was very good here in the spring, led a lot of laps before they had engine failure, and they did the test here last fall with this race car. The 48 team chose not to test here last fall, as Carl now looks to the inside, and they gave up the spring. Well, they've caught up, and now these are 2 of the best race cars at Atlanta.
Now Carl will make the pass, and a little signal out the window.
Yeah, you can see that he got a nice run. He got far enough in front of Jimmy down in the middle of the corner to be able to make that pass off of turn 2 that time. Jimmy just letting him have that spot now. No sense in racing or taking any chances. They're going to race hard, but there's no sense taking any chances at this point in time.
Was that a little thank you out the window by Carl, just like someone lets you in traffic in line with
yeah, something like that, maybe. Yeah.
We mentioned the 55 car of Michael Waltrip had been on the move from his 29th starting position and running the high line, but it can be trouble for you.
It can be risky when you're up there in that high line. There's just not much room for error.
Michael just a couple of laps ago. Oh, a little wiggle there off of turn 2. That's exactly what you were talking about.
Rush the wall back there, guys. Got one inside.
If you're gonna say you're gonna run up there, you're gonna take that chance. Still moving forward. That wasn't enough to hurt this car, though. That's what we've seen, isn't it, Andy?
No, we've seen cars, this new car, take licks a lot harder than that and still be very competitive. You see Michael still digging up there.
This team has really come on the last 3 or 4 races. Michael Waltrip's 1,000th start. If you combine the NASCAR Sprint Cup, NASCAR Nationwide Series, and NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, this will be his 1,000th major NASCAR Touring Series start. So quite a career for Michael. He'd like to be able to celebrate with a win in Victory Lane. And he is moving.
He's moving, and these guys, you see all that racing right behind. He's on the inside of David Reagan right here, but these guys are just all over the racetrack, just trying to find some grip somewhere that they can translate into some speed for them. Tough racetrack to race on, tough place to pass on. The guys love to race here. It's a lot of fun, but it makes it difficult.
Cousin Carl back up front now for the 2nd time a day. Has now led 20 of the 49 laps. Carl Edwards said he will always remember this racetrack because he got his very first victory here in the spring of 2005. Can he hold on? We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Catch us if you can.
Carl Edwards, a leader of the Pep Boys Auto 500 in Atlanta. Aerial coverage brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. How comfortable is Carl Edwards right now in the 99 car? Why don't we listen in on his radio?
The engine changed pitch a little bit. I tried both boxes, both distributors. It's the same. Oil pressure, everything's good.
I will go back to AA on your switches then.
I got them.
Well, it looks like his lap times are holding up well. I don't know what the pitch change is. I mean, they've kind of speculated back and forth on what it might be. Looks like the engine's running fine at this point.
Yeah, sometimes you slow down a good bit, Andy. We were talking about this, that it does change the pitch. Whenever you're running, you start out lap times about well over a second faster than what they are running right now. It just doesn't sound as crisp.
Could he be a little gun shy? Remember back here in March, he led 33 laps, and then boom, the engine went away and he finished 42nd.
Oh yeah, I'm always gun shy when we come to Atlanta. It's just one of the hardest tracks on engines. I don't know why it is. I guess it's just the sustained RPMs. But this is a hard track on engine.
Yeah, and then they just had the ignition problems that they had at Charlotte. So I'm sure that Carl's hearing everything right now, knowing he has this good a race car, even though he's having to work hard in that driver's compartment. Watch him work the steering wheel here. Wow.
I just can't get over how hard he's driving this race car. I mean, we're going 170, 80 miles an hour through these corners, and he's turning right as much as he's turning left.
Yeah.
You might think Jimmy Johnson would be reeling him in as hard as Carl is working, but that is not the case. Carl has now.
This thing sounds terrible. 10-4, about 10-4. Might just be an exhaust leak or something.
Well, he's still saying it sounds terrible. Here comes Matt Kenseth. He's trying to take over that second spot. A lot of guys in the garage area talked about Matt Kenseth yesterday in practice, how good his car was, especially on a longer run. So he's trying to take that second spot away from Jimmy Johnson.
You hear Carl Edwards complaining about the car, the engine, and you see how hard he's driving and how it's probably not handling that great. He's still the fastest car on the track the last lap. He's at least faster than the cars that are running second and third here.
Yeah, he gets pulled away by 2 seconds over these two. You mentioned the 17 of Kenseth. Remarkably as good as he has run here over the years, Matt has never won at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Although the last 4 times he has come here, he hasn't finished worse than 8th.
You see him really working the bottom side of the racetrack, trying to make that work. And usually when Matt's good at racetracks, that's where his car is hooked up and he's able to make time on the bottom.
Checking on the 48 car, Dave.
Guys, part of the reason that Jimmy could not hold off the 99 and may not be able to hold off the 17 tells the story of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's different on both ends. Jimmy says the car is fine in turns 3 and 4, but it's tough to handle in turns 1 and 2. Just too loose. Shannon?
Dave, they made some adjustments for Matt Kenseth as he goes to the low side right now on that last pit stop. He told his crew chief, Chip Bullen, I'm just having a hard time with rear grip, so they made a track bar adjustment. 4 tires, and that has been the key to this run. Matt Kenseth said these tires are great, much better than the last run.
Kenseth on the bottom of the racetrack will try to slide up in front of the 48 car and take that spot away.
He's able to do that, and car looks awful good. Here we see Jeff Gordon coming into the picture. He's in the 4th spot. His lap times have looked really good.
Gordon back in 4th position. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 88 car that was on the move early. There he is back in 5th spot. We told you he lost 3 positions on that exchange on pit road because he had to wait for the 22 car to get in before he could pull out.
Yeah, and it really took his car about 25 laps to show up that it was a lot better than the other cars in that first run. So we'll see exactly what he can do. Here's Kurt Busch. He's made a nice run into the top 10, running in the 7th spot right now.
Denny Hamlin back behind him in the 11 car. Mike?
Well, speaking with Pat Tryson earlier this morning, he felt like this was a pretty good opportunity for them to finally get to victory lane. It's been quite some time. Feels like they hit on some things back in Charlotte. Now, this is not the same car they ran in Charlotte, but they've been able to apply some of the same principles. He told me back in the spring they were real tight. It's been just the opposite so far today. They started the race a little bit loose. Last time down pit road, they took a pound out of the right rear and a round out of the right rear. That's tightened them up, and Kurt feels pretty good about the race car right now.
Andy, when you hear all that from a crew chief, all the things they're doing, are they doing some R&D for next year? Because they're not in the chase. They really don't have a lot to lose.
Well, they could be, but they really want to win now. They've got a good car here. They're trying to get some wins before the season's out. So, yeah, and you can take anything you learned this year and apply it to next year.
Here's a guy that really wants to get a win before the season is out. Jeff Gordon, going by his teammate, hasn't won since October at Charlotte a year ago.
Jeff is a great finesse race car driver, and that's what it's going to take today with the way this track is getting so slick.
There's 3 Hendrick cars right here running 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now. See Dale Jr. starting to chase these guys down again after he get a few laps on the tires. But we heard Ray Abraham talk in the countdown show about making small adjustments, Andy, and not going too far, because a lot of times I don't think this racetrack's changing one way You always started out a little bit loose on in this race, and then sure enough, you make an adjustment. The next thing you know, you're way too tight in the center.
It does seem like this racetrack is so sensitive to small changes. You make a small change, and it makes a big difference in the car. And I think that's what Ray is talking about. You got to be careful not to go too far with it, because sometimes these drivers can really holler. I mean, they think they got big problems, and you tend to make a big adjustment for it. But you got to be restrained in some of the things that you do to change the car.
Is the lack of grip at this racetrack related to the racetrack itself getting worn out, the car, or the tire?
Combination. Total combination of all of that. You know, there's a little bit of everything. Andy, we talked the other day about how this surface is so light gray now. That just tells you that it's worn out. But the car also, as we see Junior trying to take that fourth spot away, Jimmy Johnson losing positions here, are still early in the race, but he knows with each one of those he's losing some points to these other guys in the chase.
I think that's one of the reasons you see these guys run so high. That asphalt at the very, very top of the racetrack has not been worn on and run on as much as it is in the bottom and the middle of the racetrack. So that's why they move up looking for that grip.
And I will say that, to clarify what I was talking about, Jimmy's only losing points to Carl Edwards because he's still ahead of Greg Biffle and Jeff Burton at this point in time.
Here's a car that's struggling, the 07 of Clint Boyer, back in 23rd position, although he's trying to battle by the 9 car of Casey Kane to take that spot away. Jamie.
Yeah, you guys are talking about losing positions. That 07 car was pretty good up until the pit stop. They decided to make an air pressure adjustment on 3 of the 4 tires. That left front was left alone. Well, that sent the car in the total wrong way. Cliff Boyer yelling on the radio saying, this car is so loose, I can't drive it. He's silent right now. The team's trying to keep him up and saying next pit stop, we'll take that air out, guys. Very, very tough right now for the 07.
These guys are going to earn their money on a long afternoon. Lots of speed at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but very little grip and lots of hold your breath racing. You're watching ESPN on ABC. "72 laps in the books at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards is holding on, and I use the term holding on literally here to the lead at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Big issue was the tire, the new tire here, but boy, they're dropping off in a hurry.
Yeah, you can see these lap speeds just keep falling off. The more laps they run, they'll be looking for tires. They would love to see a caution right now to put new tires on, but they're going to have to go about 20 more laps, 25 more laps before they get that.
Where is our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, who has led 28 laps today? He keeps sliding back. He's now back in 5th position. There's the 48 car sliding by. Remember, back in the spring here, he finished 13th, the last car on the lead lap. Now, we asked in our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge at which of the remaining tracks would Jimmy most likely suffer a bad finish. Survey says, wow, Homestead. Well, he hasn't won at Homestead. Maybe that's why, because he hasn't had to win at Homestead because he's been so good in the points. But, folks, I wouldn't count on Atlanta today because a lot can happen at this racetrack. Here's a couple of RCR cars, and DJ, these guys are struggling.
Yeah, they really are. Kevin Harvick thought he had a good car. We see the 48 here. We're getting a report that something is happening with Jimmy Johnson.
Well, he just pulled down on the inside and let a car go by him, and now he's back. And it doesn't seem like Chad Knaus is too concerned.
I believe Kurt Busch had been catching him, and I'm not sure that Jimmy's just really, really struggling. Dave, what's going on?
He only had one word: evil. TJ, what's an evil car like to drive at Atlanta?
Oh, it is no fun whatsoever, I'll assure you, because of the speed of this racetrack. When you get one that's not handling well and you're wearing the tires, you can see Jimmy just searching around here. It is no fun at all.
Chad must be heavily medicated. He doesn't get very excited. Even when something like that happens, he's pretty calm and collected.
Yeah, he's pretty calm. We see Michael Waltrip still trying to make some headway here. He's gotten himself up into the 13th spot, trying to take another spot away here from Casey Mears. To the 12th spot, and Greg Biffle right in front of him. He's on that high side, making a lot of time.
Another car right behind him is Juan Pablo Montoya in that 42 car. He's been coming too.
Yeah, he had one of his best runs on an oval. I remember here last year, that great run. I think he ended up finishing 5th in the race.
His very first top 5 finish for Montoya came here last spring. You're exactly right. Now, how evil was this 48 car? Talk about drivers having your hands full. Watch this, guys.
Yeah, this is, I think we're going to see what happened to him. Is he almost wrecked? Wow. Just as we said at the top of the show, there's not a driver out here, regardless of talent, that's immune to possibly wrecking a car here today. See his onboard, you come off of turn 2. It looked like he was almost on the straightaway, and then he almost wrecks.
Outside. By himself there. Clear.
That gets your attention in a hurry, I'll assure you. Dave?
And it's interesting, guys, in talking to Chad this morning about Jimmy racing this racetrack, as those hands work on getting that car around here. He said Jimmy's good at going out and, quote-unquote, finding grip anywhere he can on the track. He said, I don't know if it's because of his off-road experience or what, but he's able to do it. I tell you, that experience is probably paying off right now.
Remember, we told you that we're not wishing anyone any bad luck, but with a 149-point lead coming in, with if he has trouble today, he could leave here second or third in the point standings. We are closing in on pit stops. When will Carl come? We'll come back and cover it in just a moment.
Next week, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is on to Fort Worth and the Dickies 500 at the Great American Speedway in Texas. 3 Eastern time on ABC. Jimmy Johnson been very strong there, but so haven't Carl Edwards. Jeff Burton's won there before. It could get really interesting. It's always a good race. We'll see how the championship plays there. Next Sunday, 3 Eastern, the Dickies 500 in Texas on ABC. Here today at Atlanta, we continue on a long green flag run. We might actually get a full fuel load under green, and at a track that's tough on tires, with a new tire here for the first time, Rusty Brad Ray. How nervous are the drivers? How nervous are the crew chiefs getting, hoping they're not the caution?
Well, I bet there's a bunch of them thinking the same thing you just said, Alan. Hope I don't blow a right front tire or wear a right rear tire out or something like that, because we've been down here monitoring the speeds. These guys have fell off almost 3.5 to 4 seconds. I mean, that is a ton. They're running on the bottom of the track and on the top of the track. Honestly, they're running areas that they generally don't run because the cars are just so slow.
I'm really surprised at how much of fall off there's been. I knew there was going to be some. We knew there'd be a couple of seconds, but we're seeing almost 4 seconds of fall off time on these race cars. That's incredible as they get near the end of their fuel run.
Yeah, this is looking like old Darlington, except they're going 30 or 40 miles an hour faster. And what you want to be careful of is that the reason that you aren't the next caution is that you blow a tire out. So we'll have to take a look and see if they got any shots for us to see how badly these tires are worn.
Bobby Labonte, AJ Allmendinger, the first to make moves to pit road under the green flag. Carl Edwards continuing to lead. Haven't heard anything more about the engine on that car. Remember a little while earlier, Carl talked about the pitch of that engine had changed. Here's Denny Hamlin in.
Guys, 2 laps ago, Denny reported a small vibration. Question from Mike Ford, the crew chief. Has it been there the whole run? No, I'm suspecting cords on the right rear. Remember, we thought these tires would get to the full run, but just to the full run. Denny will take on 4. His car was a little loose. They'll make an adjustment for that.
Elliott Sadler on pit road for his scheduled stop. Saw some cars come down a moment ago, guys. Saw Bobby Labonte in the pits, and he had that Atlanta stripe on the right side of his car. And Bobby's a 6-time winner here. Let's go to the 5 pit. Jamie Little.
And Casey Mears coming off a 6th place run at Martinsville. Great for this team. Their last pit stop, they just made a wedge adjustment. He says the car is pretty good. They wanted to get off pit sequence, and the 07 of Cliff Boyer. He desperately needed a stop, as I was reporting. He said he was plowing the nose and he was so loose off he couldn't drive it. They're going to take a big stab at it, put that air pressure back in. Shannon?
Jamie, the first run, Tony Stewart said he was too tight. They made a wedge adjustment. Now he needs more grip. As you see them go to work on that 20 team as they go to the left side. 4 tires for Tony Stewart in that 20. He's back in the top 10.
Kyle Busch says the car wants to step out every time he's on the gas. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. Also a wedge adjustment on that car. Also said he's using up the right rear pretty good. A 4-tire change in fuel for Kyle Busch.
2 things you'll hear these guys say all day long. More grip. More grip.
Hey,
Here comes Montoya.
This time, stop short and point out the 48's coming with us.
Montoya, right side of your screen, had moved up into the top 10. There's a 99 coming in. Carl Edwards. Jamie?
And Greg Biffle lost quite a few positions after the last stop. He was extremely extremely loose. He too saying he couldn't drive. They're going to take a huge change here. That was part of the plan. They wanted to work this car right in the beginning, and he's down our way. Dave?
Carl Edwards is in his pit box now. You heard him coach his driver, Bob Osborne, did how to stop short and point out so that he didn't get blocked by the 48 this time. They'll make a wedge and down to the left side air for Carl Edwards. Adjustment, a little free on the gas. Meanwhile, 48 of Jimmy Johnson is in the pits as well. They'll make a wedge adjustment for Johnson. Remember, his car was evil, loose on the gas. They'll put on 4 fresh tires on the 48 car, our championship leader, and he'll make his way up pit road. Carl Edwards, by the way, got off cleanly. So does Johnson.
31 coming out. Burton racing along beside the 88 of Earnhardt going in. Dave.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car was loose. He called it dancing around on the right rear. You see the wrench going in the rear window. That'll be a wedge adjustment for Junior at this point. They'll also look at an air pressure adjustment as well. Junior's car very good in the practice sessions here. Expected to be one of the front runners, and using that high line has done it so far. And now Jimmy Johnson has got a penalty, guys. Apparently too fast entering on pit road. He'll have to re-enter and come through at pit road speed, and that will slow down his progress here today as the field continues under green, guys.
Speed, don't speed.
Well, Dale, you called it. Dale saw him come off a pit road or off the racetrack on the pit road and said he could have been speeding.
Yeah, he really locked up the front tires and coming in. He just didn't look like he ever got slowed down enough in that first segment. So, unfortunately, know how that is. He's as he goes off of pit road, there goes Carl Edwards by him to put him a lap down.
We had been wondering all chase. Everyone else in the chase, the other 11 drivers had issues. This team 48 had been bulletproof. When would they have their first mistake? It has come here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
It's really difficult pit road to get on. You can see here, we can see Jimmy Johnson coming off. He really drove it around the corner a long way trying to get that, but you can see locked up. That first segment is from the yellow line there to the white line, so he never really had a chance to get that slowed down. Comes Kurt Busch on the outside of Matt Kenseth here. This is a battle for second place.
The 84 car also too fast, exiting pit road. That was Scott Speed, making only his second start in this series. Moving in toward 100 laps here, we have had 5 different leaders, 7 lead changes at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards has led 3 times for 62 laps. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Don't try no shaking on the.
Moving in on lap 99 here at the Pep Boys Auto 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards has now led 3 times for 67 laps. Jimmy Johnson, our points leader, is now being shown in 29th position, 1 lap down. There are 20 cars on the lead lap, so that means there are 8 cars in front of Jimmy that'll he'll have to get by in order to get the free pass if we have a yellow flag. Pretty good battle here.
Yeah, Kurt Busch made a great pit stop and got himself up. He actually got out in second spot when the pit stops cycled out, and he lost that second spot to Matt Kenseth. Now Jeff Gordon trying to take the 3rd spot, but a great run for Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, Martin Truex, and Juan Pablo Montoya are the 3 guys that are not part of the chase. They're in our top 10 right now.
Last time we were on a 1.5-mile track, Kurt Busch had a good run at Charlotte, finished 3rd that evening at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah, his car looks really good in the longer runs. He hasn't shown the speed as they had the new tires on, but as they get laps on the tires, his cars look really solid.
There's the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 5th position. It is Edwards, Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, and then this guy. And he is being shown about 9.5 seconds behind the leader.
He's changed his line. You see him running on the bottom of the racetrack now. He was pretty well committed early in the race to the top side of the racetrack, but that last run, he just wasn't quite as good.
He wasn't. He's struggling right here, right now on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Behind him in 6th position would be the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, nice run from Martin Truex. They've had some good runs here lately, but this is a nice run here today. Got himself up in a good position. He's been pretty much committed to that high line also, but making good time. He's a little over 13 seconds back of our leader right now.
The DEI cars have really run well here the last few races. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated cars. We keep mentioning the good run. You can't help but note how well this 55 car is running even after Michael bounced it off the wall. Jamie.
Guys, Michael Waltrip really happy with his car today. You know, the big story coming in here for this team, him, of course, being a team owner, they want to get better. They're building their notebooks with this new car and this team. And when they came here in the spring, he said flat out, we just brought the wrong car. We were not ready. Of course, they were a little behind because they didn't qualify last spring. So really happy right now. He said he feels like he's better than a lot of the cars out there. He was just sliding the nose a little bit. But so far, so good for the 55.
Here's a scramble. The 70 car backs out, said you guys can wreck without me. That's Tony Raines. Here's Juan Pablo Montoya up high. Montoya up high in the 18 car of Kyle Busch on the inside.
Yeah, great battle going on here. You can see Montoya trying to take that spot away from Kyle Busch.
I think he does it easily.
He's able to do that.
That's 8th, 9th, and 10th on the right side of your screen. On the left side, we'll see for 24 car. Jeff Gordon trying to use that bottom line to take the 3rd spot away from Kurt Busch.
See Gordon slide up there. Kurt Busch going to give him that spot for right now. Because he has a good car. You see some battling right there. Wow, look at Casey Kane right in front of him. He is all over the racetrack.
He's still sideways. He is wrecking every inch of this racetrack.
He was the first driver to come in. He may have a flat tire right there. I wouldn't think it normally would drive even that bad, but he was the first driver to hit pit road under green.
He said on his radio when he came in on lap 82 that he thought he had a tire on fire. He was actually smelling smoke in the car. He's been sideways all over the track, including moments ago. Watch the points leader back here, Jimmy Johnson, and watch the 9 have trouble.
Casey's got this back end hung out all the way off the corner. Look, he's still on the straightaway, out of control.
We saw him spin out that very position in the first race here.
Our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, by virtue of having to come back on pit road for a speeding penalty, is being shown 1 lap down in 26th position. And what does that mean to point standings? Well, he came in with a 149-point lead. Right now, it's just 93 points over our leader, our race leader, Carl Edwards.
Well, that's a huge change right there. Carl Edwards is doing exactly what he needs to do today. Jimmy Johnson having that problem. And the problem with Jimmy trying to get back to get that free pass, if we do have a caution here, is that Carl Edwards out there putting other guys a lap down. So it's going to be a long process for these guys to get back and thinking about getting back on the lead lap.
That's one of the things we've seen this 48 car and team do is recover from a mistake. But they don't have a great car today. It's going to be tough for them to overcome this penalty.
He just passed Paul Menard, and that was for a spot. So that's 3 more points that he's getting towards that.
And mercifully, the 9 car, poor Casey Kane, is going to be able to come on the pit road and get some help with that car before he hits something or somebody on the racetrack. They will change the right side tires, or they'll put 4 tires on it.
Yeah, he'd put 6 on if they let him.
Yeah, 8 if all possible, guys. But yeah, this is going to mean these guys are going to have to pit about every 30 laps with the way that they're going there right now.
109 points complete at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards trying to get it done here in the fall of 2008. But back in 2005, it was a special weekend for Carl Edwards in Atlanta. He indeed was the last man standing.
It's the hard knocks, it's the long shots, it's believing in yourself when you're all you got. You don't turn back, you don't give in. Rising up to see the last man standing.
Oh, man.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway under caution for the 3rd time today. Debris over in turn 2. The free pass will go to the 38 car. He was the first car lap down, David Gilliland, and the cars will line up behind our pace car and come on for a pit stop. Probably not what Carl Edwards wanted to see, but most of these guys wanted to get on as often as they could and get some fresh rubber.
He's about the only one that didn't want to see this caution flag, because there's a lot of Hill Hamlin race cars out there.
He'd built up a little over 5-second lead over Matt Kenseth. So this is going to give these guys an opportunity to work on their car some and see if they can get something in their cars that will allow them to challenge Carl Edwards before this day's out.
Remember, he got pinned in the first time because Jimmy Johnson was in front of him, but Jimmy Johnson, being a lap down, will not be able to pit until next time by.
That effectively gives Carl Edwards the opening going out. He'll be the first car on the exit.
You can see Matt Kenseth in that first pit stall coming onto pit road. Shannon?
Matt Kenseth says he needs to be just a little bit tighter. They're going to try to fix that with air pressure. 4 tires for the 17 car. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon said those last changes on the last stop took them in the opposite direction, so they're going to put the changes back in. Track bar adjustment, 4 tires for the 24, Dave.
Leader Carl Edwards said on average that was better over the run. Little tight in the center. They'll make an air pressure adjustment for that as they come around to the left side. A 4-tire change. Sunoco Fuel finishing up on the second can. Slow on the left rear, and they'll lose a spot on pit road.
17 car, as Dale Jarrett has called earlier today and all year. Great job for Matt Kenseth's bunch. He will gain a position. Carl loses the spot. Earnhardt Jr. up 1. Kevin Harvick up 3 positions tonight. Back with the restart here in just a moment. Under caution for the 3rd time, Carl Edwards lost the lead on pit road by virtue of a slow pit stop. Here's what happened a moment ago. Now watch the right side, guys.
Really no catastrophe on this stop, just a little bit slow on the right side and a little bit slow on the left. See there, hitting a few extra lug nuts, and here they lose just a little bit of time in the lead off pit road.
Let's listen to Bob Osborne, the crew chief.
You guys have got to do a better job than that. I don't want to hear it. You have to do a better job than that. That's embarrassing.
You guys can do it. You can do it. You're best on pit road. We got a long day. Just you can do it.
Well, he's challenging those guys as a crew chief, and here we have the restart. Kenseth trying to hold off. There's Jimmy Johnson. Remember the lap down on the inside.
He got himself up in that position. There's going to be a penalty either for Ryan Newman or Casey Kane. I'm not sure which one is in the wrong there, but you can't start side by side on that.
Johnson, he's giving it all right here. We'll try to get this lap back.
And these guys at 17, the teammates in the Roush Fenway car, do not want to give him that lap back, not on the racetrack.
Well, they don't want to, and there's a lot of pride in that Jimmy Johnson camp, too, that they'd like to say, hey, we earned this lap back. We made it up under green. Didn't have to get a special pass or anything. If he can get out front, he knows he's been fast enough to do that for a few laps if we should have a caution.
And NASCAR said that Casey Kane was laying over on that restart to try to give way to some of these guys, and so they're going to let that one slide.
Well, Jimmy Johnson is driving the wheels off the car. Whoa, a little bit slip there in the corner, and that'll give the 17 car the advantage up high. Here comes Jeff Gordon, Johnson's teammate, moving in that battle for 3rd spot.
Jeff Gordon looking very racy right now.
And you talk about driving the wheels off it. That'll be something that Jimmy Johnson will have to be careful of right here. He doesn't want to run this too hard because he is in that position.
But these guys, these Roush guys, they're trying to make Jimmy race hard. They want him to have to race hard right now.
Yeah, they're dealing with not only a good race driver, but one that's pretty smart too. So Jimmy understands that, and right now he's going to have to just back off a little bit and hope that he gets a caution to get that lap back.
He just called the cavalry in the form of Jeff Gordon to come help in a little bit of reinforcement there in the draft.
It just said, don't pick on my teammate.
The 88 is also there. What about the unknowns in these races here? We ask Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, Chad Canals.
Everything is calculated. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns out there. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. You could have a mechanical issue. You could get caught up into an accident. But I think that if you're racing within your comfort zone, and by doing that, you have to have a very fast race car, and Jimmy has to be switched on. The pit crew has to be doing their job. You're willing to do things to try to get the victories.
If you just joined our coverage, the reason Jimmy Johnson is a lap down, he was speeding coming on the pit road and had to come through in a pass-through penalty, and that cost him a lap to the leader, Carl Edwards.
Well, these teammates look racing each other hard.
Yeah, and Dale Jr. looks a lot more racy on fresh tires here.
Here's some more teammates racing each other hard.
The 10th and 11th spot, Tony Stewart, the 20, the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Whoa, Kyle Busch really sideways there. Almost got into the side of Reed Sorensen as he was trying to make that pass on Tony Stewart off turn 4.
Left side of your screen, Earnhardt Jr. just pulling away from Jeff Gordon now that he's made the pass.
These guys know that they only have about less than 10 laps of what the tires will feel really, really good to them before they start sliding around a lot more. So they try to take advantage and make up as many spots as they possibly can in that time.
It's almost 4 wide right here.
You can see Kyle Busch really fighting that race car too today.
26 car is McMurray. He is in position right behind Stewart and Kyle Busch in 12th spot. David Reagan is the 6th car. There's Reagan out of Unadilla, Georgia. This is his home racetrack. Having a good run back in 13th. Michael Waltrip back in the 55 car. He's being shown in 14th spot. Casey Mears in 15th position in the 5 car.
See Reed Sorensen racing that 15 car of Paul Menard really hard too. You got cars that are lap down, cars that are on the lead lap, all racing hard.
Jamie McMurray having another nice run here. He's on the inside of Tony Stewart, trying to take away the 11th spot.
McMurray has had a great race car the last few races. Remember, he had the best car at Dover, got caught up in an accident, was running 5th at Talladega, was caught up in the big one, and last week at Martinsville had a rear end gear going out when he was running in 4th position. He just can't catch a break.
If he continues to run like this, he'll get through a day and not have those problems. We see Michael Waltrip on the bottom side of the racetrack. Michael's car doesn't look very good on the restarts, but man, taking about 6 or 7 laps, he starts making up a lot of time on these guys. Tony Stewart seems to be struggling a little bit today. Denny Hamlin's the best of the Gibbs cars, as Tony and Kyle Busch are back in this mix.
Isn't it amazing how back in March it was Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart finishing 1-2. They were the 2 best cars on the racetrack. You were in that race that day, and then today here just a few months later with a different configuration car, a different generation of this new car, they are really struggling.
Of course, they have been for a lot of the chase season. Here we see Denny Hamlin on the bottom of the racetrack. The 42, Montoya back up on top again.
Hamlin and Montoya are 7th and 8th, by the way. The 07 is being shown a lap down in 22nd position. Clint Boyer. More on Denny Hamlin. Dave.
And on that last pit stop, he was a little bit loose in the center of the corner. They made a track bar and air pressure adjustment for him as he now maintains that position over Montoya. But interesting, Mike Ford told me this morning, you know, fighting this Atlanta track, you kind of get on both sides of the setup. You get a little bit loose, you get a little bit tight, and then you make your decision. I said, it sounds kind of like an educated guess. And he goes, yeah, some of it's a guess, some of it is educated.
The Childress cars have been struggling, the 31, the 07, and the 29. See the 07 almost sideways coming out of the corner. There's the 29 of Kevin Harvick, who was so good in happy hour practice on Saturday afternoon.
He wasn't good earlier, but now he seems to be making a nice little comeback. Shannon?
Kevin Harvick started this race with a lot of optimism because they were in their #1 car, the top 10 car. Well, when they started, it was plowing, it was pushing, it was loose. All 3 things Kevin used to describe this car. It was all over the place, very unhappy. He said we went from the 2nd best car to the 2nd worst car, but they've been working on that car. Track bar, air pressure, 4 tires, and now the car is starting to come around for Kevin Harvick.
He's definitely going the right way now.
He's up inside the top 10 now in the 9th spot, and they've fallen well out of the top 10 on that long run.
Back up front, Matt Kenseth, who assumed the lead by virtue of great pit work by his team and a little bit of a stumble on the 99 team, has held on since it came back on the racetrack. Kenseth has now led twice for 15 laps. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Under caution for the 4th time today at the Pep Boys Auto 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 9 car. Casey Kane, who had been struggling for the last 45 or 50 laps, finally got sideways. Here's what produced the yellow flag.
Well, he's really been struggling with this car. You see, I mean, it's just out of control. He finally just cannot save it. And now he spins all the way around, blows all 4 tires out.
Well, Ray Evernham, they have really been struggling. If you were down on that box as the crew chief now, what do you do?
Well, make some big changes to make sure that the car's obviously been super loose all day long. So I'd be trying to put a ton of left rear spring in it, get that track bar down to get as much wedge until he just was saying screaming tight.
Seems like these guys are talking about everything you used to do to a car, you have to do opposite now to this new car because it doesn't react the way it used to in the old days. Pit stop. Let's go down to Shannon Spake.
Matt Kenseth said the car is just a little bit loose in. They're going to make a quarter round down on the track bar. Air pressure in the right rear. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for this 17. Jamie.
Guys, the 88 of Junior is in right now. He said this car was falling over on the right front. They will make an air pressure adjustment for him, as well as a track bar adjustment, or actually a wedge adjustment on the 88. The 99 of Carl Edwards is in, gives up second place. He said this car was freer in this last run, so they'll take on 4 and put in Sunoco fuel, but they'll put the air pressure back on the left front to try to help him out.
Here's the race off of pit road. Carl Edwards this time doesn't lose a spot. He will come out in second position. Earnhardt Jr. back 1. Kevin Harvick up 2 positions. Back in just a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Bank of America, the official bank of NASCAR. Coca-Cola Zero, real Coke taste and 0 calories. And Sprint, the chase for the Sprint Cup comes to you with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, only from Sprint and only on the Now Network.
Under the 4th caution of the day at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the good news for this caution flag was this car. Jimmy Johnson, our points leader, able to get the free pass. He was the first car lap down, and he will be able to get back on the lead lap. What was the bad news in this caution flag? Well, issues on pit road for the 88 car. See that tear off? That should be torn off.
Yeah, they didn't get it off, and they trying to race these guys off pit road and just didn't take enough time to get that thing off properly. This could cause Dale Jr. a lot of vision problems on this restart. See right there, they just didn't quite get it off. Jackman was trying to pull it.
Let's listen in.
It's all right. The wind's probably going to get that. I think we might only have one left of whoever put the tear-offs on. They had a bunch of my way, right in my line of sight, a bunch of bubbles.
Yeah, that can be a problem if they don't get that thing cleared when they put that on. Those are great things to have on the windshield, and especially at a place like this, but that's going to be an issue for Junior until that thing does blow off.
The 55 car, Michael Waltrip, has been on pit road quite a while, had been on pit road quite a while, and obviously they were having trouble, we said, with something a short in the helmet.
Yeah, he's had that going on for a while. Just kidding, Mike. They had something wrong with the radios in the helmet.
He's being shown as the last car on the lead lap back at 20th position. Green flag back in Atlanta. Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt, and Kurt Busch. That's the top 5.
You see Clint Boyer, that first car down on the bottom. He's the first car lap down to see Junior. I believe you just can't see there right now, maybe.
Looks like that thing has already blown off. Gone. Yeah, he's good now.
Okay.
He probably couldn't see for a second until it blew off.
He had a big wobble there in the corner coming back to the green flag. Let's see where it went here.
That's coming off there. Still not gone yet. There we go. Where it goes.
Yeah, imagine trying to drive looking through that at 190 miles an hour.
You basically feel your way through the corner with that thing on there.
Yeah, it's no fun at all. I've had that to happen before, and that's just no fun as you see him go to the inside of Paul Menard now.
The key thing here is that the pit crew and the driver didn't panic when that thing didn't come off. They knew that it would blow off as soon as they put that 170-mile-an-hour wind on it, and it did. Everything worked out fine. They didn't have to come back down pit road.
Up front, let's see if Carl Edwards can move in on his teammate, Roush Fenway teammates. Matt Kenseth is the leader. Take the lead away. Right now, Carl Edwards has led the most laps. He has led a total of 4 times for 81 laps.
Matt Kenseth's car is very strong, though. He's proven to be at least equal to this 99 car.
Yeah, he sure has. The car looks really, really strong from the center of the corner out. Car can beat him a little bit, maybe down into the center, but then Matt really can get in the throttle. Shannon?
While there were some drivers on pit road having some issues, Matt Kenseth pit crew needs to be applauded. They got him on and off pit road in 12 seconds. This is the team that's currently 10th in the point standings. I spoke with his crew chief, Chip Boland, today. He said our goal is to be in the top 5, and if we run in the top 5 every day, we can certainly make that happen. Dave?
Hey guys, did you watch the truck race yesterday with teammates running first and second near the end of it? DJ?
Yes.
And it was reported that Kevin Harvick, who owned the 2 trucks, said, we don't race for points. No one's going to move over Ryan Newman and give Ron Hornaday those points. Well, doesn't look like they do at Roush Racing either. Here's Carl Edwards, who needs to lead the most laps, get as many points as he can, maybe those 5 extra bonus points in order to win the championship. Matt's still kind of out of it. I don't see Matt moving over.
No, and that's the way it should be, too, Dave. I was wondering that when I was watching that truck race yesterday if that was going to happen, but that's the way things are supposed to happen.
Wow, look at this 99
Carl Edwards sliding up across the racetrack there.
Yeah, you have to earn it. Now, you know, there's been a lot of speculation about teammates and things like that and what goes on, but this is just pure racing. We see Jimmy Johnson here. He got back on the lead lap there. He got the free pass the last caution, currently in the 19th spot, but still looks like he's fighting that car quite a bit.
Yeah, he sails by the 38 car of Gilliland. The next car that Jimmy Johnson will need to pass for position will be Mears, his teammate, in 17th position, and then Tony Stewart.
Let's give Jimmy Johnson a lot of credit here. When he lost that lap, when he had to make that penalty move down pit road, he was 29th, or actually 30th on the racetrack. Now he's already moved up inside the top 20. He's in 18th spot and still gaining spots. Dave?
Yep, our most recent recipient of the free pass took time on pit road during that stop to make a lengthy adjustment. Now they're trying to get this car a little bit better feel. It's been loose most of the day. They lowered the track bar on the right side. That happens with a wrench through the window, often during green flag pit stops. But on the left side, they lowered the track bar as well to try to tighten that car up just a little bit. That you have to take the tire off for and take extra time. And they're fortunate that they had the time to do that before they went back on the track.
Michael Waltrip continuing to have some troubles after driving this car all the way into the top 10. This is about a lap ago. Watch what happened to him.
Right up behind Jimmy Johnson. Man, this thing is completely out of control. Good save, Michael.
Yeah, that's that same turn, too, where he slapped the wall earlier in the race and got by with it. So that gets your attention right there. Running about 175 miles an hour off of that corner. But he's still going.
And he's still on the lead lap. He is the last car on the lead lap in 20th position. Jamie?
And that is something the team is applauding right now. They had issues I have never seen down here. They came in for that pit stop. They couldn't hear Michael. Well, they figured out there was a shortage in his radio. They took the helmet off, put a different helmet on. He went back out, came back in, and they replaced the radio harness. Now they're hearing their driver, and they're just keeping their fingers crossed he stays on that lead lap.
I'm not sure they wanted to hear him a moment ago when he got sideways, but he somehow did a miraculous job saving the car, and he is driving this one for all it's worth. Good job, Michael Waltrip, one of the guys that helped bring Toyota into NASCAR 2 years ago. And remember, it was Toyota got their first NASCAR Sprint Cup win here back in the spring. 4th position, Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving in to try to take the 4th spot away from Kurt Busch.
Car doesn't look quite as strong on the start here after the last caution as what it did in the previous one. So he is trying to take that 4th spot away from Kurt Busch. You see Junior trying to work the bottom side here. Kurt Busch kind of got that high line taken, so Junior's having to revert to the bottom side of the racetrack and try to make that work. It's not where he's been running for the majority of the day.
We did see him make an adjustment on that last race start where he did go to the bottom for 10 or 15 laps. It seems like he could make some fast laps down there. So he's going to keep at it right here, see if he can get by Kurt Busch. Just ahead of him, you see Clint Boyer. He's a lap down. He's one of the chasers that is a lap down. It's not on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's a nice move there.
Now he gets his groove back.
Be able to take this 4th spot away. See Kurt Busch slipping just a little bit down in the bottom side of the racetrack.
So he runs one turn up high and makes the pass.
They kind of had to set him up coming out of turn 4 to make that.
We're about 15 laps away from halfway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stop number 7 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and Matt Kenseth, who has not won this year, is our leader.
A beautiful fall afternoon at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Get there on silent armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. Creeping in on the halfway point today of race number 7 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. There's your leader, Matt Kenseth. He has opened up a 2nd and a 3rd on Carl Edwards now. Matt, one of 6 different drivers that have traded the lead 11 times in this race. No question, though, the story of the day, Jimmy Johnson, driver of this 48, started on pole, qualifying rained out, lap 91, green flag pit stop, too fast entering, went down a lap after the pass-through penalty. and had a little help from his pit crew to get back in position to get back on the lead lap.
Boy, he did. When he came down that pit stop at lap 112, Alan, he beat everybody that was one lap down out of the pit area, got himself back up to the lead position. Lead position car only one lap down, and that was the key right there. He got to the front, got the lucky dog in the next one. Now he's back in the hunt.
Yeah, came in 8th. You know, he's 8th, Rusty, and his crew. We talked about it in the pre-race show, how outstanding they've been on pit road. Got him back out, got him in position when that next caution flew. He got the lucky dog. Now he's charging back up towards the front as the points.
Already up to 17th. The track's starting to get blacker. He had a loose car in the beginning of the race. Now with the track taking some rubber, I think it's going to be better for him. He's got plenty of time to get that thing back up front.
All right, so you see Matt Kenseth leading. We look back through the top 10. Most of them are cars and drivers that are in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Let's talk about some of the other guys that are outside of the top 10 and how they're faring. In fact, why don't we start with the 10th place car, our Ford Up to Speed. Kyle Busch running there, Mike.
And Alan, that's the car that Kyle Busch won with here back in the spring, but so far this day has gone completely opposite of the way it went back in March. It's been a bit of a struggle. He's having a difficult time staying on the throttle. It gets real loose on him. They've made some pretty significant adjustments. They've pulled a couple of spring rubbers, made a wedge adjustment and air pressure, but the car's still very loose, unresponsive right now so far. Meanwhile, just behind him, well, this is a guy who's in experimentation mode. It's Martin Truex Jr. I spoke with his crew chief, Kevin Mannion, this morning, and he said, well, toward the end of practice on Saturday, they felt like they hit on something. And believe it or not, he told me something I didn't hear from anybody else in the garage. He said they found too much grip. They had to actually dial it back. So far, though, the car just a little bit looser than they expected here this afternoon. Shannon?
Mike, David Reagan currently running 12. He considers this track his hometown track. Said a win here would be just as big to him as a win at Daytona or even Indianapolis. Right now, the car is a little free, but man, this kid has come alive in the chase. 3 top 10s in the last 4 races, looking to finish off this season strong. Mike?
Talking about huge wins, Shannon, well, it will be absolutely incredible for the 83 team to come home with the victory today. They had a very difficult week following indefinite suspensions and penalties stemming from having 2 light sheet metal on the car back in Martinsville a week ago. This team a little bit loose right now, but Brian Vickers has always been comfortable here in Atlanta. Still a lot of racing to go, but the car has not been to his liking yet. A little bit loose. Jamie?
And Casey Mears been fighting his car today. This is a track that he's comfortable at as well, but last we heard from Casey Mears, he said the car was a lot better on that last run. It was so good, they didn't make any changes on the last stop, just 4 tires and fuel. The new dad, Casey Mears, all smiles before he crawled behind that wheel and keeps it running 14th right now. Behind him, Greg Biffle fighting that extremely loose car all day. He just told his team he needs help everywhere. He's not turning well at all. He's tight on the gas and then he's snappy loose. He's just putting more wheel into it and he's getting those odd conditions. He was second the points coming in here, 149 down from Jimmy Johnson. This thing's going to shake it up here today. Mike?
Expectations were pretty high for the 31 team coming into today. After all, this is the car they won with in Charlotte. That's the only other race that's been used in competition. In other words, it's undefeated, but the car has been a little bit different here in Atlanta than it was in Charlotte. The front end just will not turn. Jeff Burton having a handful this afternoon. Dave?
Mike, at that last caution, championship leader Jimmy Johnson got the free pass and got back on the lead lap, but it was the tail of the lead cars, and it's no fun starting back in 19th position. Listen.
We'll try the same, man. There's traffic, sorry. Did it tell you what it's doing or not? Just telling you, I can't fix that part of it, unfortunately. A little bit closer to the front, it'll be a lot better, but I promise.
As he moves toward the clean air, that car will get out there where they like it, where it was at the beginning of this race, and where it's easier to adjust. But guys, in traffic, these cars are a handful. Shannon?
Dave, Tony Stewart was the one driver who was most vocal about the tires when we were back at this racetrack in March. So far, so good with the tires, but the car really has been all over the place today. He started off very tight. They made some major adjustments, including putting a rubber in the right rear spring. They went too far on those adjustments. The car has been loose on this run. They made a track bar adjustment on that last pit stop, hoping to help Tony Stewart out. Jamie?
And Michael Waltrip, it's been 158 races since his last win, trying desperately to get back up there in the top 10, where he worked so hard to get earlier. He had those radio issues. Everything's under control. Communication is good, and as he sits 19th. Behind him, David Gilliland. He says this is one of his favorite tracks. Why? Because the options that drivers have, meaning he can run high, run low, run in the middle. He said as race car drivers, this is all you want, and if you're fast, this is the perfect place to race. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Gil in the last car on the lead lap in 20th place. First car 1 lap down at the moment is Robbie Gordon in position to get the free pass should we see another yellow. Last pit stops for the leaders, lap 132. So we're about another 25 or so laps away if we stay under the green. Matt Kenseth leading Carl Edwards by 2 seconds. 3 laps away from the midway point of today's 500-miler at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Jimmy Johnson has recovered from trouble and continues to hang on to the championship lead.
This week, Monday Night Football and AFC South Showdown. Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne and the Indianapolis Colts take on the only remaining undefeated team, the Tennessee Titans, led by Kerry Collins. Mike, Jaws, and Tony, all the crew will be there in Nashville, Monday night, 8:30 Eastern Time. How about the reigning Super Bowl champions at 500? They are 3-3. Peyton Manning can't do it all. The Colts cannot stop the run, and they cannot run the football. That's what Tennessee does so very well. Should be fun to watch on Monday night. 55 car off the pace in Atlanta. Michael Waltrip. He was trying to get on the pit road a moment ago, having tire issues. Let's see, watching.
He got in the wall just a little bit right there. Looks like he was going to try to get down to the pits. Doesn't quite get there.
Guys, right here, guys. 4 tires. You ready? Stay on, stay down.
It's hard to make this pit road entrance under good circumstances, but after hitting the wall like that, I'm sure it was even harder. He does have a right rear tire down.
Right side damage there on the 55 car. Coming in with that right rear heavy damage. Yeah, he had the damage when he had the contact earlier. It's already been on and off, and now they will come in and try to get the right side tires off. Jamie.
And it was indeed a right rear flat for Michael Waltrip this day that started out great, and it's just getting progressively worse. Track bar adjustment for him. They're going to go ahead and take 4 tires. Tough break, guys.
Things can go wrong in a hurry after having the great run in the first 100 laps all the way up into the top 10. Now on and off pit road twice here in the last 25 laps. Up front it is Matt Kenseth, who has now led 3 times for 58 laps. We have had 6 different leaders, 11 lead changes. His teammate Carl Edwards in second spot, Kurt Busch back in third, Jeff Gordon fourth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 5th position.
Yeah, Matt doesn't seem like he's showing any signs of slowing down and letting these other guys get to him. All the others stayed about a little over a second and a half back from him.
There's our 3rd place car, Kurt Busch, and you guys called it having a good run here thus far at Atlanta in his Dodge. Let's listen in.
We're just running a faster pace, and our right front spring is too soft to keep up. We're just too free. Much better power down with that air. Maybe we'll put a little more wedge in it by taking it out of that right rear again.
Yeah, he's talking about that air pressure change they made help the car, and he's actually making a lot of time up on this top side of the racetrack.
Yeah, his car wasn't quite as good as he wanted it on the restart there, and you talk about running those faster lap times, and the right front spring was just a little bit soft. It was making him too loose to run as fast as he needed to, but it's really working well for him now as they've got a lot of laps on the tires.
Let's show you what we're talking about as we head down to our Chevy Cutaway car and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. Folks, it's a real delicate combination you're trying to get here because you're trying to get the air dam down as low to the ground as you possibly can. So we run these wear indicators right here during practice. But what we're trying to do is when the car goes down in the corner and transfers weight to the right front, we need more spring rate to hold the car up. Because once it gets down there, if you've got the bump stop package, you're basically working with this suspension, but he must have a conventional package in there, conventional spring right there, and he would like to have more spring rate to hold the right front of the car up off the racetrack, keep the car from losing wedge getting down the corner.
Yeah, I mean, that would help definitely on the new tire setup when they go out there and run about 2 seconds, 3 seconds a lap faster than they're running right now. But once they slow down, looks like this package that they have under this 2 car is working pretty good.
They could think about putting a little air in the right front tire and helping that situation.
I think, wow. Oh, he's in the wall hard right there.
Got in the right side pretty good.
Should we go to bragging on him?
Yeah. We'll have to see if that creates a tire rub for him. I think that's the biggest concern would be that right rear maybe looked like that the body came in pretty close to that right rear tire.
That is Pat Tryson, the crew chief there, looking on. He doesn't seem to be overly concerned, but I'm sure they got the spotters watching closely now as it comes off the corner. See if it rubs.
So he's really been high. Right here, you just kind of, the car gets a little bit loose, and there's just not enough room to correct it. He didn't need much, but ran out of room right there. I don't think that hurt it too bad, though.
176 laps of 325. We're past the halfway point. That's the leader, and he's got his hands full. Matt Kenseth said, I can't wait to get on pit road and get some fresh Goodyears. We'll have those pit stops when we come back. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
I do anything, just rising up to see the last man standing. Stakes are high, no backing down, till the race is run in the winter crown. Who's gonna take that checkered flag and be the last man standing?
Race number 7 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, just past its midway point at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and coming up on Green Flag Pit Stop. Let's catch you up on what's happened so far with our McDonald's race rundown. Jimmie Johnson started on pole, field lined up because of points. Carl Edwards, though, trying to grab the lead from him quickly, get bonus points for leading the most laps. Edwards has been out in front for the most laps today. Big mistake here for Jimmie.
Oh, this is the big mistake right here. Slid the tires, getting in too hot coming in, and gets a pit road speeding penalty, goes down 1 lap.
There's Chad Knaus getting the news from NASCAR and calling his driver back in. That kicked Jimmie back way down in the running order. Then he got a break.
Yes, he did. He also got in and got off pit road very quickly. Casey Kane comes in, has a spin, comes in the pit road, gives Jimmie Johnson his lap back, makes him lucky dog. He's back on the lead lap.
So Johnson goes around the pace car and rejoins the chase for a top spot. The pass for the lead, the latest one, was made on pit road.
Yeah, the 17 car's having a great day on pit road. 99's been just a little bit off. 17 gets out there in clean air, and he's leading the race.
So Carl Edwards has led 81 laps so far. Matt Kenseth has led 70. And right now it is Kenseth out in front by 3.2 seconds over Edwards. And Doc, Andy, and DJ going to start to see a lot of action on pit road here in a minute.
Expecting green flag pit stops here momentarily, Alan. Of course, the 17 car moving in on the 31 of Burton to put him a lap down. Here's the 8 car, and a tough day for Mark Martin. He's being shown 2 laps down.
I'd have thought he'd run a lot better today, and he's not having a good day at all.
You can see his teammate there, Paul Menard. They're both 2 laps down before they made those pit stops, so really struggling with the DEI cars today. This guy's not struggling, though. Matt Kenseth had been hooked up. He's run around the bottom for the majority of this time. The car just looks flawless right now.
They brought a brand new car here this weekend. Matt's not had the best of luck in the chase thus far. Here's one of the first takers on pit road, Kyle Busch, who wanted here back in the spring. Mike?
And Kyle Busch still complaining the car's a little bit loose. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. They're going to drop that around and also take on 4 tires and fuel. Kyle's been complaining most of the day that he's having difficulty getting on the throttle. That's when the car kicks out. Cannot keep his foot planted, and because of that, he's getting beat in the turns. Doesn't like that, obviously. They're trying to correct it with that track bar adjustment. 4 tires, he's away. Shannon?
Kevin Harvick still battling this car. They're going to put 4 tires on this 29 for Kevin Harvick. He's been tight, loose, pushing. This car's been a struggle for this 29 team all day. They're going to try to get it fixed up for Kevin Harvick.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. had been running in the 7th position before this stop. Whatever you did, he said, it made the car so loose. Wrench will go back in the window there. There was a wedge and air pressure adjustment the last time. Looks like they may be reversing that. They'll take on 4 tires and Sunoco fuel and send Jr. back out. Mike.
After scraping the wall a few laps ago, Kurt Busch radioed in saying, I may have dinged up that right front fender. Take a look, see if they pull that out. They're going to go to work there. They're going to also make a 4-tire change, a complete service on the right side. They also make a track bar adjustment. Still trying to tighten that car up a little bit. He's away.
Denny Hamlin had been running in 5th position before this series of pit stops. A 4-tire change for him as well. Car very, very loose. They've made adjustments for that to help him run the bottom. Now the 99 of Carl Edwards running 2nd behind Matt Kenseth. He had been checking his lap times against the leader. He knew that he was about 1/10 to 2/10 off. They'll make a wedge adjustment for Carl this time. They will put 4 tires on that car. You see a tear off cleanly coming off the windshield of the 99 car, so he'll have clear vision as he leaves pit road.
And Jeff Gordon said he wants 4 tires. They went down 2 rounds on that track bar. He was extremely loose. Shannon?
Your leader says he's just a little bit free off. This pit crew has been solid all day looking for another stop right now. They're going to take air pressure out of all 4 tires.
Jimmy Johnson had been struggling in traffic. This will be a wedge adjustment for Johnson on both sides of the race car. Wrenches in and out, 4-tire change for him, also full of Sunoco fuel. Remember, he had picked up 3 positions in traffic and then had stalled out there, was running 16th before this series of green flag stops.
Leaders cycling through for their pit stop. The 83 would assume the lead a moment ago. That's Brian Vickers. He has been on pit road. Problem for the 6 car. David Reagan in for his stop.
David Reagan missed his pit coming in. He did have to back up. That's definitely going to cost his team some positions on the track. He was running so well here today, guys.
David had been shown in the top 15 for much of the afternoon, which will be by far his best run here at his home racetrack in Georgia. Reed Sorensen in the 41 car. Peachtree City, Georgia. His career best finish came in this race a year ago when he finished 3rd. Ganassi Sabata's team changing tires here.
Look right here. Here's Matt Kenseth, our leader, and he was had about a 2-second lead before they made these pit stops. And there's their second place car, Carl Edwards.
He had over a 2-second, about a 2.5-second lead. Matt Kenseth did, and now you can see it. It's virtually nothing. Carl Edwards right there.
They did a great job getting on and off pit road, and pit crew doing their job.
And actually, Kenseth stayed on the racetrack 2 laps more when Carl Edwards came in, and that's a big difference. Used tires on the track versus new tires getting on pit road. That's tightened up the lead here in Atlanta. Back with more in just a moment. Aerial coverage from high above Atlanta Motor Speedway brought to you by our good friends at Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. Leader is the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, and looking back from the 31 car of Jeff Burton, who was about to be put another lap down.
And it goes a lap down right there. This has just been a tough day for this 31 team. This was a race and a weekend that they hope to make up some points. And they won at Charlotte on a 1.5-mile racetrack. You would have thought they had a better run, but they've really struggled today.
Yeah, they have. And with the problems that Jimmy Johnson was having, you would have thought it'd be a chance. Junior into the wall here.
Scraped it a little bit.
He's been sliding backwards. Even before they made those green flag pit stops, he had slid way back. What's happening with that 88 team, Dave?
I don't know if you remember me telling you that it was real loose and he wanted to do something about it. Still loose. He said, I'm going to wreck about 3 laps ago, and he almost did.
Well, he actually did. He's just still going.
Yeah. See him get loose right in the center. Turns 1 and 2 here. We've seen this a number of times, guys. That's using up a lot of the right side of that car.
You need a lot of racetrack when that car starts sliding up through there. And you can see running this high line, you don't have a lot of room to give.
Now, we saw Kurt Busch hit the wall
All clear, all clear.
earlier, and it didn't slow him down a bit.
No, but Kurt's was more with just kind of the right rear hung out there. I think this slapped the wall pretty hard, and he's still fighting this race car. Just not to his liking right at this point in time. Man, they were so good earlier. It looked like that on long runs, they were just going to be the car to beat.
It is really a struggle. This racetrack is putting everyone into the test today, guys. The drivers, the owners, the crew chiefs trying to figure out how to keep these cars dialed in.
Well, I tell you, before we had the first race here, we had a lot of tire issues, but right now it looks like there's no tire issues, except they just can't get any grip whatsoever. And I guess the thing that amazes me, guys, they just keep, you're looking at Dale Earnhardt Jr. there. He takes that car and puts it right up against the wall and no room for error. I mean, I don't think if I had a car that was that bad at the moment, I keep it off the wall maybe 4 or 5 foot, but it's not only Dale Jr. Many drivers that just keeps clobbering this wall. And Brad, I guess the good thing is this car is so tough they can run into the wall and keep on going.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of guys have even picked up some speed, but I think we have to kind of give Goodyear a little bit of a break here. It looks like it's more of a combination of the car and the racetrack that's creating the problems. We watch them run other racetracks, Ray, of 1.5 mile length, and they don't seem to have any problem like they're having right now. These guys look like they're driving on ice.
Well, guys, I've said over and over again, in a situation like this where you've got a track with high speed, it's abrasive, and that COT car is different. It's a high center of gravity. It's heavy. I don't think they're going to fix problems at stuff like this in the size of the tire that we have now. We've got to make some changes to give these guys. I bet you after the race, I'm willing to bet that there's going to be some drivers still not happy. But again, I don't believe that's all Goodyear's fault. They're working within the box they've been given.
And Ray, we're not hearing anything bad about tire wear from what we're seeing come off the cars. But from you and Rusty, the guys in there, what would you do to be able to fix a car not to punish these tires so much?
Well, I've always been a big advocate, Jerry, about this bump stop issue. I'm going to go right back at it again. I don't like that rule. Ray and I were talking before we started the broadcast here, and he doesn't like it either. There's just no room for error. It's such a fine line to get the car handling right, Ray. And I think until they make a change with this, we're going to be suffering through these type of problems at tracks like this.
Well, bump stops are very abrupt. They don't travel a lot. They gain rate immediately, and it just wears the tire. It abuses it. It sends constant shocks through a car. So if you've got a racetrack that is a little bit abrasive and a little bit bumpy, that car's just like bouncing along on hockey pucks.
Hey, Ray, it's Dale. I know there's been a lot of talk about just a wider wheel, which would widen the patch of the tire out a little bit and put more of that patch on. Have you heard anything about NASCAR following through with that?
I've not heard exactly about NASCAR following through with it, and a little bit of width would help, but really the tire, I believe, needs to be bigger in overall circumference, so it gives just a little bit more to lean on. If we're going to continue on bump stops, let's put a little bit more cushion in the sidewall of these tires, and I think Goodyear could have a little bit more area to work in with the construction if the car were a little bit taller.
The NASCAR has come out and said, we're not planning to make any changes in this car for next year. So again, all of you drivers and crew chiefs got to put your hats on and say, okay, if this is the box we're going to work with, we got to figure out a way to make it work.
Well, I got a feeling they've been doing that all year long, Alan. They've been working like crazy trying to get this thing figured out. You got to remember one thing, folks. This tire, this wheel size, we've had it for a long, long time and haven't had these problems until we got this brand new design car. I think a NASCAR needs to give a little bit and say, hey, look, we got to make a change. I know there's no rules for next year, no changes. But, Brad, I think they got to do something.
Well, I think it's obvious because we come back this time and we're seeing the same issue. Goodyear even gave us a tire that's got a little more grip on the right sides to try to stave off some of the problems we had last time with no grip. That tire wore away in 10 laps. As soon as the fuel's burned off, we're right back to the same thing. We got guys almost wrecking on the straightaways. Something has to be done.
I thought when you started talking about changes to the new car, DJ would be jumping up and down up there because that's a favorite of his. But back to the race with Juan Pablo Montoya having a good run, guys.
Montoya doing a great job here, Alan. Of course, coming off that great top 15 finish last week in Martinsville. He ran well here in the spring, finished 16th on a track that was tough for anybody to get a grip on.
Yeah, he's running very well here today. He's driven himself up there to the 7th spot, battling Kevin Harvick for that 6th spot. But a great run for him once again. Alan, just to let you know, that's what I went with the wheel side of it, because I think NASCAR's issue with making changes is any change that they make, and you talk about those bump stops, you take those away, then these guys tell me they're going to have to cut the front snouts off all these cars, which in turn is going to cost the owners a lot of money. But they spend a lot of money anyway. Why not do that, and so that we can get a little bit better racing, and the better racing comes from these guys being able to hustle these race cars around, not just hang on for dear life.
Yeah, and money, of course, asking owners to spend extra money in economic times that are a little uncertain is probably not a great idea either, right?
Yeah, that definitely makes it tough, and a balance that I know that NASCAR is working hard with, as we see Jimmy Johnson has just taken this spot away from Dale Jr., who continues to fall back. Johnson's up to the 13th spot now.
These are lead lap cars. Johnson 13th, as you mentioned. Earnhardt Jr. 14th. Greg Biffle is the final car on the lead lap in 15th position. We just joined our coverage. Jimmy Johnson lost a lap early in the race, lap 91. When he came into pit, he was speeding on pit road and had to come back in and was able to get the lap back. And here's the car we were talking about all weekend. Greg Biffle was so confident he would run well. He's never won here, but he's about to be passed and put a lap down by his teammate, Matt Kenseth.
This is the last thing he thought was going to happen coming into Atlanta. He thought he had a good shot at this thing. Sure, he's extremely disappointed. I mean, the race is not over yet, but he is going to lap down. You see Carl Edwards now running right up to the back bumper of Matt Kenseth.
You see Biffle up top, and when we think about these type of racetracks and we talk about all these other guys sawing on the steering wheel, you think of Greg Biffle when you think about hustling a car like that, and he's just not able to get it done here, so it tells you just how much they're off with that car.
You see right here, Carl Edwards is still sawing on this wheel, and really this race is going to come down to who can do that the longest. I mean, can you do this all day long and still have some gas in the tank when it's time to go for the win? I mean, Carl Edwards is one of those guys you expect to be able to do this all day, but it's going to be tough on a lot of these guys to be able to handle these tough driving race cars all day long.
DJ, I heard you mention that when they got the new car in, you had to really work it to get fit to be able to hang on to the steering wheel. And we,
yeah, the 55.
Caution on the racetrack, the 55 car again, and this time the right side of the car, part of it sheared away where the tire just let go after contact.
Got a lot of debris out there somewhere on the racetrack.
And we've talked about running up high, the things that you could get into. And the one thing we didn't talk about was the debris that you can pick up as that goes up towards the top part. Looks like Michael, yeah, into the wall again.
Yeah, right after that tire, you can hear the tire blow out.
Two of them.
Here he's coming down the backstretch after that contact with the wall, and the tire just explodes. So, yeah, I'd say there's debris.
Right rear fender just sheared away and just pieces and parts everywhere.
Yeah, what would look like was going to be a very promising day for Michael Waltrip and this Nava Toyota has turned into a nightmare for them now. It's unfortunate, but they had a great run in the first half of this race.
Flat, we're coming, guys. We're coming.
That brings out the caution for the 5th time today here on lap 209. 116 laps to go. Michael comes on the pit road, and we'll have to have extensive repairs done to that right side.
You know, this gives Jimmy Johnson and them another chance to work on that car a little bit more. They've worked themselves up into the 13th spot. They're ahead of the two guys that were directly behind him in the points. And right now, Carl Edwards is the guy that would be in 2nd spot if we continue at this pace. But it lets these guys work some more, possibly getting themselves back into the top 10 in this race.
Not going to be good news for Carl Edwards' team either, because they're going to have the 48 team right in front of them about the time they're ready to pull off pit road. So, could be interesting.
Remember the first pit stop of the day where the 48 was able to block a little bit by doing it correctly, but able to block the 99. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, Matt Kenseth says these tires that he has on right now are just very slippery. He told his crew chief not to make any changes, just a slight air pressure in the right front. 4 tires in Sunoco fuel for Matt Kenseth. Mike.
Kurt Busch said he started out that run pretty good, but got loose in a hurry. They're going to make a wedge adjustment on this race car. Also a 4-tire change in Sunoco race fuel. Just trying to tighten them up for the next run, Dave.
And this was a tighter run for Carl Edwards, but not by much. A very precise 1/8 of a round wedge adjustment. And the 48 pulls in front of him. Carl looks like he'll be able to get away clean. Best run so far at the end for Jimmy Johnson, he claims. A little loose in. They'll make a slight adjustment, actually a pretty big adjustment for the wedge on the back of that car.
Johnson down and away. Pretty good race off of pit road. Now watch Edwards coming out. There's the 2 and the 17 racing all. And Denny Hamlin going around Carl Edwards. Look how close this was here between the 2 and the 17. Wow. Great job by Kurt Busch's bunch. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Lap 212 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. With 113 laps to go, we are under caution for the 5th time today. Pit stops a moment ago, and watch the move that Carl Edwards makes. He is sort of pinned in, got to get around the 48 car, and he's got the 11 car pulling on the outside. This is the Allstate Good Hands move of the race. Now watch he has to thread the needle here.
He almost hit one of the crew members for Jimmy Johnson, but great move by Carl Edwards not to make contact with Denny Hamlin coming out of the pits and to stay safe for the guys on the 48 team.
So Carl has saw that steering wheel both on and off the racetrack. Let's visit with him. He's our in-race reporter.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You got us?
I got you, Dale.
All right, looks like you got an awfully good race car there, but we've seen you inside that car some today with our in-car cameras. Look like you're really having to work hard.
I am. It's wild. The old shoulders are hurting a little bit, but it's fun. I mean, couldn't ask for a more fun racetrack. And you know, my guys are working hard down there. We got probably 1 or 2 more pit stops, and I think we got a car fast enough to win. And you know, hopefully we can just get up there and race a little bit. But yeah, definitely fun, man. You know how it is when you got a car where you're turning right more than you are left.
Yeah, that's fun. Hey, talk about those pit stops. 48 doing you any favors there, by the way, they're kind of blocking you in?
No, it isn't his job to do me any favors. I should have stopped a little shorter and got it pointed out better. But and then 11 came on the outside, so I couldn't really jump out there. We just got boxed in a little bit. But no, trust me, if I was in front of Jimmy, I'd be doing everything I could to hold, to hold him up.
Hey, Carl, we heard a lot about the tires in the first race. How are they reacting here today?
They feel exactly the same, which is fine with me. I like having to, drive the thing. That's a lot of fun.
All right, Jimmy had some problems. Your chance to strike here today. Are you aware? I'm sure you're aware of that, but can you get this thing to the front and gain some more points?
Yeah, I think so, man. Kurt's been running really well on the top. Matt and I seem to be about the same speed. I just need to be able to get up there and race with them a little bit. I haven't raced with Denny yet, so hopefully we can get a good restart here, get a couple long runs, and find a line out here where we can get some throttle down.
All right, Carl, thanks for talking with us. Good luck.
Thanks, Dale.
Carl Edwards has already had a pretty good weekend, had a big win in the NASCAR Nationwide car yesterday up at Memphis Motorsports Park, gained 80 points in his chase for Clint Boyer for that title. Dominant performance by Carl from the back of the pack, led 185 laps yesterday. He has led today 5 times for 82 laps, and now he is currently being shown in 4th position. Let's listen into the 88 radio here with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I'm telling you, man, you just gonna make this thing looser in. Pulling that right rear air, rounds, anything. It's just taking that feeling away. I can't do nothing else. I mean, you tell me what you want. Just tell me what you want. I can't put bite in. I can't move the track bar down. I can't take air out of the right rear. I can't put air in the right front. I can't put air in the left rear. We're out of options. Now we're gonna go loose. You need to calm it down a little bit.
Yeah, you don't think crew chiefs get frustrated too? He's doing everything he knows to do to this car to try to help and try to make it tighter, and he's running out. I mean, the adjustments are on the far end.
That sounds like something Rusty Wallace would ask for.
Guys, I tell you what, in this particular situation, the driver needs to give him a hint what he'd like to have. I mean, if it's maybe come in, lift the hood, put me some more rebound in the shock absorber to the left front, give me a rubber in the left rear to tighten me up, get the driver under these circumstances to tell them what they want.
Yeah. No, you've got to get that communication. Sometimes the driver loses track of the adjustments they got. The crew chief knows what he needs to get that feeling that the driver's looking for. The driver's just got to keep helping him. Don't say, don't do that, don't do that. Just, hey, man, just fix this.
Tony Eury Jr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr., not only driver and crew chief, they are cousins, and they've been communicating like that for most of their life.
I'm going to get into driver's defense a little bit in that conversation, in that sometimes with this race car and this particular car is a lot harder to tell the crew chief exactly what you're looking for because it does so many different things.
Kurt Busch leading him down as on the restart here, lap 215. Matt Kenseth, Hamlin, Edwards, Gordon, and Harvick. That's a top 6. 16 car did get the free pass at Greg Biffle to get back on the lead lap.
Carl was tempted to make it 3 wide there, trying to make a pass on Denny Hamlin. Had the 6 car down on the bottom. Carl's going to be in a little bit of a hurry. He wants to get back to the front. Have a lot of racing, well over 100 laps to go, but he can't let those guys out front get too far away.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. Hamlin trying to hold on a 3rd spot, then Edwards moving in from behind.
See this, we can see the battle up, the leaders up in front of these guys. Matt Kenseth in 2nd. Kurt Busch, how about what a difference a week makes? That's what is so great about this business. You have a terrible week last week with Kurt Busch, and then this week you come back here, he is leading the race.
He's got that lead now, and he's stretched it a little bit on Matt Kenseth, almost like it was at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Watching this telemetry here, do you see how they're having to work the throttle?
Direct TV telemetry, and he just hammers that throttle.
You see here, they're turning well over 9,000 RPMs right now, but they're running fast laps. These are the fastest laps they'll run on these tires. They'll start falling off and lose 1-2 seconds a lap. You'll see those RPMs start coming down.
And we see part of the racetrack here getting shaded, so the track's going to gain a little bit more grip. There's not a ton to be had out there. These guys aren't going to mind that happening.
Pretty good battle here for 6th position. Juan Pablo Montoya, the 42, and behind him, Kevin Harvick. And there comes the 18 car of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, they're going around the 28 of Travis Quaffle. He's 2 laps down back in the 26th spot. Seems like the 29 and the 42 have been battling all day long. Mike?
Well, speaking of Juan Pablo Montoya, one of the variables that may be working in his favor, guys, is the fact this is a new generation chassis built in-house. In the past, they had used Laughlin chassis that they modified a little bit, but these have been built and designed by Steve Meal and Don Letarte. Yes, Steve Letarte's father works at Ganassi. They developed this chassis. It's a little bit more user-friendly, if you will. They've had a couple of weeks to work on it. It debuted, I should say, in Charlotte. They feel like it's much better at this type of racetrack, and that may be one of the reasons why they're running so well today, guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams having to go to this in-house chassis, and Don Letarte, he used to build chassis when I was at Robert Yates Racing back in the mid-late 90s, and very smart man and did a great job. So I know that's going to be a big help for these guys as we see Matt Kenseth closing in on Kurt Busch, trying to take that lead back.
Kenseth right now has led the most laps today. He's led 3 times for 97 laps, and now he will go all the way downstairs. If he can slide his Ford on the inside of the Dodge, not quite yet.
The momentum off of turn 2 kept the lead for Kurt Busch for the time being.
We still have 100 laps to go here. Plenty of time. This racetrack is going to go through a little bit of a transition because you do see all the shade on it. And somebody else might rise up here and have a pretty good setup for this cool racetrack.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of green flag racing though, Andy, but they can't make it on one more stop from here. It's going to be close.
Going to be real close. I don't think they'll be able to do it. One thing is I don't think they want to stay out that long on tires.
Yeah.
And
great battle here.
Kurt Busch not willing to give that spot away. So it's been a while since I've been able to lead one of these under green. And although he did win at New Hampshire because of the rains coming with pit strategy, having the best run that the 2 cars had a month.
Dead heat at the start-finish line.
Matt Kenseth, one of 7 drivers who won a year ago, who has yet to win here in 2008.
This is great racing. These 2 guys showed you the 2 different lines you can get around here in the same amount of time. It looks like Matt Kenseth is going to finally. No, here comes Kurt back on the outside.
Denny Hamlin's kind of lurking back behind these guys, saying, "You guys just keep racing. I'm making up a 10th or 2 a lap, and I'll be up there with you."
More on the 17 car. Shannon.
That bottom line is exactly where Matt Kenseth spent most of his practice sessions working on. The team told me that they know that most guys like to go to the high side in order to try to pass. So Matt Kenseth works on that bottom. Now, I told you on that last run, Matt Kenseth felt like the tires were just slipping all over the track. These tires so far looks like it's pretty good for the 17. Dave.
And Shannon, the booth mentioned lurking back there. Denny Hamlin, they feel like they've got a great race car. He's been hugging the bottom all day as well. That's where they set the car up to run. And Mike Ford, his crew chief, told him after that last round of pit stop, buddy, if we get out in that clean air, I don't think they can touch you. They're on their way.
Hamlin has never had a top 10 finish or top 5 finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That could change here today. Should be a good one there. Mike, Jaws, and Tony in Nashville, Tennessee on Monday night. Of course, the Colts won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The other Manning, Eli, great effort last year. The New York Giants won it. Let's see who's got the effort today here. How about that 17 car of Matt Kenseth? Has never won here and has yet to win in 2008. Able to get by Kurt Busch, his 2nd spot. And Denny Hamlin, as you mentioned a moment ago, he is moving, although he has a bit of a bobble there on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's coming. He was a couple tenths faster than the guys 1st and 2nd.
What about our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, who had gotten back on the lead lap? There's the 48 car.
Johnson's back there in that 13th spot. He really hasn't gained anything since we started back on the after this most recent caution. This is exactly where these guys finished here, I believe, in the first race here this year. So still a little bit of a struggle.
Him and Junior swapped spots back and forth a couple of times since the restart, but now Johnson seems to be struggling a little bit.
Jimmy Johnson finished 13th here in the spring. He was the last car on the lead lap. Right now there are 15 cars on the lead lap with Greg Biffle, who was able to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap, being shown in 15th position. 1, 5, and 88. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th spot. Truex, Mears, and Earnhardt Jr.
Looks like they got this 88 car dialed in just a little bit better on that last pit stop. Starting to go the right way. He was sliding backwards pretty fast before they had this last stop.
Yeah, looks like they've helped it. Whoever came up with an idea there to change something.
You know, the 5 car, Casey Mears, coming off a very good run. He finished 6th at Martinsville, Virginia. And although he's really enjoyed driving for Hendrick Motorsports, so he's really excited about the plans for 2009. Here's what he had to say.
About it. I mean, RCR is a great team. They got a lot of good people over there. I've had an opportunity lately to kind of meet with some more of those guys and find out what they're all about. And it's a very racy organization.
And it was announced this week that the new crew chief for Clint Boyer will be Shane Wilson. That means Gil Martin, the crew chief right now for Clint Boyer, you see him on the left side there, and this entire 07 team will be with Casey Mears next year. Now, Gil told me this morning they will be testing with Casey the week after Texas, so they're speeding things up, and I asked if there's any possibility they'll get Casey in a 4th RCR car by Homestead, and he said the chances are probable. So it's interesting swap up, guys. Brand new team for Clint Boyer, the old proven team for Casey Mears in 09.
Jamie, we are hearing also that there's a possibility they could bring the 33 car out early as Homestead, the final race this year, and allow Mark Martin to go ahead and make the move into the 5 car. Mark will only drive the 8 car for the next 2 races, Phoenix or Texas and Phoenix, and he'll be done with DEI, and that would put Mark in the 5 car for the finale, and then of course all of 2009 where he will go for the championship one final time.
Mark Martin sure has struggled today, though. He's running 27th. I really expected Mark to be one of the cars to beat here today. I'm kind of surprised that he's not had a better run.
And when you think of Mark Martin in Atlanta, 2 things that go together. You just think of him running in the top 5 and having a chance to win. But here he is 2 laps down today in that 27th spot.
29 and 18. These guys have been going back and forth here. 7th and 8th. Harvick in 7th. Kyle Busch is 8th.
Kyle Busch was our winner here in the spring. Toyota's first victory. Hasn't exactly had the car that you would say would be up there battling for the win today, but has made a nice effort. We saw it earlier in the race being extremely loose. It looked like he's got the car a lot more under control right now.
Trying to get what they can get here in the final 90 laps. This is 10th and 11th. Truex and Earnhardt Jr. Now Dale Jr. going back up high.
See a little bit of a wiggle right there in the center of the corner. Still doesn't have that car exactly where he wanted. He was up beside the 1 car just a few laps ago, but fell back. There's a run for Kyle Busch up on that top side, trying to get a run on Kevin Harvick, who's been committed to the bottom most of the day. See, just behind them, Jamie McMurray with another nice run in the 9th spot currently.
McMurray won his very first nationwide race here 2 weeks after he won his first Cup race at Charlotte back in 2002. So been a pretty good track for Jamie over his career.
It'd be nice to see these last 87 laps go by without much happening to that 26 car. They've had some of these good runs, just haven't been able to finish it off. So we see Junior going to the bottom side now and trying to make the pass on Martin Truex. See, he's still fighting the car, getting down to the center of the corner.
Got to give him credit for effort. I mean, he has really put a lot of effort in this thing. He's moving all over the racetrack trying to find a groove, make this car go to the front. He and Tony Jr. are trying to come up with a setup to make this car go to the front too, and they're not giving up. You can see how loose he is, but he's still going to the front.
McMurray going by Harvick for position. Kevin Harvick struggling that last lap.
A lot of battling, a lot of racing going on here. It's not necessarily just side by side all the time, but a lot of passings. We see guys trying to make different parts of the track work. Junior's on the bottom now as that turn 2 has become pretty much in the shade, so they're getting a little bit more grip off the bottom of the track there.
We talk about how much this track changes through the course of a race, and back in Countdown, Ray Evernham talked about how this track will change so much in the final 50 laps. Folks, you don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Ford, who invites you to tune into the Ford Championship Weekend on ABC and ESPN November 15th and 16th. Aflac, ask about it at work. Sprint, The chase for the Sprint Cup comes to you with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, only from Sprint and only on the Now Network. And Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up.
And we move into the final quarter of today's 500-miler at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Our aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear. Get there on silent armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. I won't call it a comfortable ride for Matt Kenseth at one of NASCAR's fastest tracks, but he is out front by a second and a half now over second place Kurt Busch. And with 3/4 of this race done, all 43 cars still on the racetrack. Let's take you up to speed. Start with the leader and Shannon Spake. Shannon.
Alan, Matt Kenseth is saying that this car is wicked loose. His crew chief is just telling him to hold on. Kenseth said there's no way we can win this race with the car this loose. It's been a really tough chase for this 17 car. They've had 3 DNFs the entire season, and all 3 of them have come in the chase. So they're certainly looking for a good run here today, but they'll definitely need to tighten that car up. Mike?
Shannon, Kurt Busch has been fighting loose most of the race, and it's no different right now. He says it's real loose right now. Feels like the front end has been in a bind the last few laps, and he's worried that he may have hurt the tires early in this run. Expect them to try to tighten that car up once again next time they come down pit road. Dave?
Running in third is Denny Hamlin, and may not push the issue right now. Crew Chief Mike Ford asking him, can you save us a little fuel? Denny says yes. They believe they're, before the run started, about 3 laps short of making it on one more stop. If you look behind Denny, you'll find the 99 of Carl Edwards on this run, just a tick loose, but really not that bad. And remember, they need to make up ground on Jimmy Johnson more than just driving to the front of this field. So far, that hasn't happened today, Jamie.
And for the first time today, Jeff Gordon said his car is getting better. After chasing those loose conditions all day, they've thrown everything from track bar, wedge, even a jack bolt adjustment on that last stop to try to tighten that car up. It's finally starting to come around. Been running top 5 all day. Mike?
Well, if it's any indication what his PR person says, Juan Pablo Montoya having a pretty good day. His PR person told me not too long ago, this is the least I've heard him complain all year long. So obviously he's pretty happy with the race car. Feels like the only thing he really needs right now is to be better off the corner. Other than that, real content with how the car is running so far. Meanwhile, Jamie McMurray, he's another guy who's got to be pretty pleased. He said early in this weekend he's been frustrated because he's had some great race cars over the last month or so, just nothing to show for it. He had a good car at Dover, another good car at Talladega, and Charlotte still was unable to get a good finish out of it. Right now, trying to get a good top 10 here, running in the top 10 most of the afternoon, Shannon.
Mike, Kevin Harvick running to the top 10 as well, but you wouldn't know it from listening in on his radio. Started off the day, he was so tight. Then he was so loose. Now he's tight again. He told his team, do not touch the track bar on the next pit stop, but they'll definitely have to make some changes on this 29. Dave?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has battled from 14th to 9th since the drop of the green flag. Remember that 2-tire pit stop they did? They may have worked on that right front shock, either adjusting the bump stop or some of the compressor rebound in that shock during the pit stop to try to get it. But he says it's still real loose. Mike?
Well, based upon the way Kyle Busch started 2008, a top 10, well, may not seem like all that much, but the way they've run in the chase, he's probably pretty happy right now. He was asked coming into this particular race if he's mentally prepared to come to the track every week based upon the way things have gone the last few weeks. His answer? Probably not. That gives you a sense of how frustrated Kyle Busch has been over the last several weeks. He says right now we really can't worry about wins. We need to worry about just consistently being in the top 10. He's been around 10th most of the afternoon and doesn't look like he's moving forward anytime soon now.
All right, gang, thank you. And if you are just joining us and missed out, championship leader Jimmy Johnson, a pit road speeding penalty earlier, got the free pass, got back on the lead lap. Jimmy running 13th out of 15 cars that are on the lead lap. Second place, little challenge here.
Well, I tell you, Denny Hamlin's car is just getting better and better, and Kurt Busch is having a great day today, running third right there, but that was a big move right there. As the race goes on, this thing is definitely changed. Like Ray Abraham said, it's getting better and better, this track is.
So Hamlin a second and a half behind leader Matt Kenseth. Another round of pit stops upcoming shortly. Will they be the last pit stops of the race, and will fuel mileage come into play? No will be the answer to both, because caution has just come onto the racetrack. So yellow flag number 6 is out as the field slows and the pit crews get ready to go to work. Matt Kenseth will find his pit crew challenged once again. Debris on the back straightaway, the reason for this caution flag.
A lot of sheet metal, a lot of tore up cars from flat tires before. Some of those pieces could be coming off. It's getting late in the day. That stuff's getting wore out.
A big break for David Reagan, too. It looks like he's going to get the lucky dog free pass here. And this kid has been fantastic throughout the year. I'm glad he's able to get back on the lead lap. He's had a good car today.
Now, something to watch for on this pit stop. Every time they've come down pit road all day, Jimmy Johnson's team has gained him spots. Johnson's running 13th right now. We'll see where he is when he comes out off these stops.
Not only today, Alan, they have done it throughout the chase and throughout the season. They have been absolutely superb. I expect nothing more than nothing less than Jimmy Johnson gaining several spots here.
We usually call that last crucial pit stop the money stop. This is pretty close to it. It's not the last pit stop of the race, but it's pretty close to it.
No, I don't think this is going to be the money spot, but the guys up front, seems like whoever gets out front, it might be time for Denny Hamlin to get out front and lead this race. Mike Ford and his guys go to work.
Here we go, Shannon.
Alan, I told you moments ago, Matt Kenseth said that we would not be able to win the race this loose, so very important pit stop. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment for this 17 car at Sunoco Fuel. Mike?
Kurt Busch asking to be tightened up. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 1 pound in the right rear, 1 pound out of the left rear. They're also going to go to work on the chassis as well. A track bar adjustment on the 2 car along with a 4 tire change. Dave?
Denny Hamlin is going to take on 4 tires, and they are going to make a wedge adjustment on that race car. He said it was just a little bit tight in the center of the 1 and 2. Meanwhile, up in the front of pit road, the 99 and the 48 also pitting. The 48 complaining a little loose, a little better than the run before. They make a wedge and track bar adjustment. Carl Edwards already gone. They make a wedge and air pressure adjustment. He was loose on the gas, tight in the center. Lots going on pit road, guys.
And was that called here just a second ago, Mr. Ray? The 11 out first.
Well, you know, when the guys get a chance to shine, they take a deep breath and go. Look at that, beat him by half a car.
So, new leader after a pass on pit road, Denny Hamlin out in front of this race with what will be 70 laps to go. The restart after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Caution number 6 on the day for debris on the back straightaway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Safety crews have been very busy picking up pieces and parts of these cars. How close was the race off of pit road a moment ago? Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth, 0.6 of a second, and Hamlin will lead for the first time since Talladega. And let's listen into Denny Hamlin's radio.
This is nowhere near a fuel window here. Green light, go like hell. 10-4.
They're going to go here with these. They're going to have to make a pit stop, I guess, with about 15 laps to go.
Well, they can go that far, but that's going to be the trick right here. We'll get into that. The strategy is going to be quite interesting going to the end of the race. In fact, Denny Hamlin spun the wheels just a little bit on that start. Let's Jeff Burton now get the lead, at least going into turn 1 to try to get back on the lead lap.
Now Hamlin fights back on the outside. Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch in tow.
Then Edwards and Jeff Gordon 4th and 5th. Prior to that caution coming out, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Got a ton of smoke coming out of Jeff Burton's car.
Car bouncing a lot, almost like a shock was broken or something there.
Yeah, there's something wrong with Jeff Burton's car right there. I don't know what that was. Didn't smoke quite as bad through that corner. Still smoking a little bit though.
Tire rub, maybe. Car bouncing on the tire. Mike?
And Doc, you are correct. He just came over the radio and said tire rub.
Kind of day Jeff Burton has had. This is, we mentioned the car he won with at Charlotte, but he has been shown a lap down for about the last 130 laps. Now getting past by the 24 car. Burton back in 17th position.
Makes you wonder why that is, if as long as they got everything tight, or if they didn't get it tight, maybe it's moving around a little bit there, but it's kind of strange that it would happen now. You can see right behind, he's battling Jeff Gordon on the outside, and you see Dale Jr., who had a great pit stop there, got himself back up in the 6th spot.
Junior's back in the game now. I believe we saw a little damage on the left front fender of that 31 car, and it finally clearanced itself a little bit after they've run a few laps.
And then forward before we get too far into this, Andy, we know they're going to have to make one more pit stop, but there could be a little different strategies played out.
Well, here's the thing. They can run up to about 50 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. They have to go about 71 laps to make it to the end of the race. And what the trick's going to be now is to figure out when you make that pit stop. There's a gamble right here. You could come in a little bit early and have a little fresher tires over both of these runs and come out pretty well, but you're going to have to pit early. You'll have to pit before you're out of fuel.
31 car able to now get it back all of a sudden and go back around the 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Let's update the 88 car with Dave Burns.
And to Andy's point, most of the teams are telling their drivers, we can't make it. We will have to stop one more time. Junior's included on that last stop. Remember, he was very, very loose. Air and wedge adjustment. And according to the team, a boatload of wedge on that. They took a big swing at it, so that hopefully on the last pit stop, they won't have to make too many adjustments.
I think the racetrack and cooling down of temperatures might be playing into these guys' hands a little bit too, because they've gotten awfully loose. Even though they've made some adjustments, they probably help. But you can see the shade right there. These guys are running on the bottom of the racetrack in 1 and 2 in particular.
All 43 cars are on the racetrack. Scott Riggs back on the track after being down 126 laps for repairs in the garage area. There, Denny Hamlin, our leader. Matt Kenseth in second spot. Carl Edwards third. There's Hamlin. Guys, a lot's going to change here in these final 60 laps. You guys commented on it in Countdown, how much this racetrack changes in the final 50.
Yeah, Ray and I are down here talking about this right now. I mean, I can't remember ever coming to Atlanta, Jerry and guys, that this track has not tightened up as the sun goes down. So I expect these loose race cars to get better and better as it goes on.
Yeah, and as DJ pointed out, you've got that shade. It's bringing the track temperature down, and the track is getting black. This tire is softer. It's taking rubber, and the guys with the looser cars are going to be picking up speed.
You love coming to Atlanta Motor Speedway. 2 of the last 3 races we've run here, the leader with 10 laps to go hasn't won the race because things get a little hairy here toward the end.
Oh, yeah. As Alan Bestwick likes to say, don't go anywhere. Things are going to change here. We have no idea what's going to happen. We see Kyle Busch on the bottom of the racetrack here trying to make up some time as he goes around Jeff Gordon. Juan Pablo Montoya, who's had a fantastic day right behind this group.
Kyle Busch with that Halloween paint job. His entire chase has been rather frightening. He, after dominating the regular season with 8 wins and over 1,600 laps led. We saw the 31 car a little bit ago on the restart have some smoke just billowing out of the car. We mentioned he might have had some contact. Let's see if we can see what happened.
So coming out of his pit stall right here. So he gets just against that 96 car. Yeah, and that's where the tire rub came from.
It's like he's kind of fixed himself now, so it's okay. But you had to wonder if they didn't make a mistake on pit road. A little contact there, but looks like everything's okay with Jeff Burton. He's just wishing they would have another caution now so he could get that free pass and back on the lead lap.
88 car now reeling in the 2 of Kurt Busch that it would be for 4th spot.
This is a nice comeback by Junior in this race team. They were pretty frustrated just over 100 laps ago with that race car.
This would be a perfect team for a candidate to gamble here because there were 71 laps to go when they last pitted. If they split that up and made it 35 and 36 laps in each run, they would have better tires over the long haul and maybe be able to pull the win out. Now, they would have to take a chance by pitting early. If the caution comes out, you're called a lap down. So there's the gamble, but there's something there to gain for one of these teams.
Yeah, you might as well take a chance at some time. You know, we saw earlier in the race, just under green flag pit stops, where Matt Kenseth came in with a little over 2.5-second lead, but he stayed out about 2 laps more than Carl Edwards, and Carl cut that down. So we see Montoya making the pass on Jeff Gordon going into the 7th spot. But I think you're right, Andy. It's a great opportunity for somebody to gamble and try to win this race.
A lot of calculators being worked on pit road. How soon do you gamble and do you take the chance? Now, there is the guy right now that have to worry about gambling, Denny Hamlin, who has never won at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Heck, he's never had a top 5 here. That could all change here within the next 57 laps.
Take a look at our sprint monster moment. Could be a monster day in the championship for Jimmie Johnson. Qualifying rained out. Field lined up according to points. So Jimmy started on pole. but made a little bit of a mistake.
Oh, way too hot coming out pit road. Gets a penalty on pit road. Too hot coming in. Goes 1 lap down.
Lap 91, Johnson serves his pass-through penalty. That kicks him back to being the 6th car, 1 lap down in 30th place. Jimmy works his way up to being the 1st car, 1 lap down. Then when this happens, gets a break.
Excellent job, especially being prepared on pit road. Casey Kane gets loose, has an accident. It leaves Jimmy Johnson as the lucky dog. He gets back on the lead lap.
And for more monster moments, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. Jimmy Johnson is running in 9th position, and we've been watching his lap times getting better, too.
Yeah, it looked like they made an adjustment they weren't happy with, got it out on this pit stop, and now the car's got some speed again. He's moved up from 13th to 9th here since we've gone back to green.
As we check out the championship standings as they run now in this race number 7 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, 166 as they run on the racetrack, with Greg Biffle really not taking advantage. Biffle running in 14th place. He's behind Johnson on the track at the moment. So we've watched these guys all race long, hands flying back and forth inside the race car, really having to be up on the wheel. It's been a long race. This, Jimmy Johnson says, is where physical conditioning pays off.
Physical strength and mental strength, I think, go hand in hand. You know, if you're in the car and you still feel strong and you're well hydrated at the end of the race, you're focused on the right things. If you're feeling weak and dehydrated and not feeling right inside the car, your mind's going to start playing games on you, and you're going to be more worried about how you feel than looking ahead and trying to get around the guy that's in front of you.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. We've talked about Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, some of those guys being in the ultimate of physical shape. It helps them mentally, just like he said. And today, we're really going to find out who is in great shape.
Well, Brad, he's come through a lot of problems today. I mean, he's right now is in 9th position. He was a lap down at one point. But with all this going on and him fighting his car and doing all this, he's still pulling away into points. He started the race 149-point lead. Now he's got 166, Ray. And this guy's staying in there.
Yeah, every point's going to count. Every spot's going to count. They're a little bit behind right now. But again, there's plenty of time here. This is a place where a little bit of momentum can get made a lot of speed.
And plenty of time, being 48 laps to go. And Doc, Andy, and DJ still looking ahead to see what might happen where pit strategy is concerned.
We were just thinking about up here, Alan, and I know that my crew chief standing beside me, Andy Peacher, would like to gamble big time. Now, if you're this guy, would you gamble or would you stay put?
No, he's the guy that's out front. The guys that would gamble, yeah, I mean, the 11 car would be in a good position to do that. But, you know, you want to run about 35, 36 laps here and make a pit stop. And then if you're the leader in pit, a lot of guys will come behind you. But you see some of these guys like Kirk Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., even Juan Montoya, some of those guys are in a perfect position to roll the dice on this deal.
Dave?
And we're monitoring the 11 of Denny Hamlin just to see, wow, is that 99 loose? As you see him going through the corner. And he said he wants it freed up just a little bit. I just listened to Carl a minute ago. Anyhow, the 11 car, we'll monitor him for his fuel stop. Talked to Mike Ford this morning about racing this chase. He said we treat it like the rest of the year, and I'd do that if I was running first in the chase or 11th. He said we've got to make sure that we don't make this an adrenaline time of year. Other sports operate on adrenaline. Racing is methodical, and that's just the way they've approached the race today. Small adjustments all day long. They've got their car right near the end of this thing. Now they just need to make the right call on this final pit stop.
Dave, all of these drivers have their hands full right now, even the leader. And watch Carl Edwards a moment ago. Wow, was he skating on the bottom of the racetrack?
Yeah, skating, I think that's putting it mildly, Doc. Man, watch him work this race car. I mean, this is 170, 75 miles per hour trying to get through and off the corner. Down on the apron, car sideways. Just incredible. He's not the only one doing it. He's given us more shots today of doing it, but all of these guys are really driving the wheels off these things, and they have to be in incredible shape to withstand this. This is a long, long afternoon, and these guys are doing a terrific job.
Talk about being the last man standing. You got to be the last one able to stand up when you get out of the race car, because these guys are taking a beating here. Inside of 50 to go, who will it be? Who can hang on? We'll find out when we come back.
If you are what you say.
Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Denny Hamlin continues to lead late in this race. Mike Ford is a crew chief. Mike, when do you stop, and can you improve this race car?
Yeah, we watched it all day. The guys that are out front seem to be able to pull away, and clean air is so important here in Atlanta. So we knew if we could creep our way to the front and get some fresh air, that we had a car that could win this race. And the guys did an excellent job beating the 17 out on that last pit hear what you said, but yeah, there would be about a half a run left, a little bit less than a half a run left, so about the number of laps we've run in this run. So it's been good to this point, this run, so I'm not going to look at any changes.
So far, a great run for the 11, and that stop is coming up, guys. We just don't know when.
I kept wondering when he was going to tell you, Dave.
Yeah, I think that was selective hearing on Mike Ford's part. He heard that question. He just wasn't going to let everybody else know when he was planning on coming.
All right, if you were him, what would you do, Andy?
Well, he's in the driver's seat, Doc. He can stay out here, and if somebody else wants to gamble and roll the dice, then you can react off of that. The guys that really need to take a chance here are the guys that are in the top, you know, right outside this top 2 or 3. Ray, what would you do right now?
It's a good point, Andy. If I'm a guy that's up in the top 3 or 4 in the chase, I'm going to run it out because I'd rather give up a few positions than take a chance on getting a lap down. If I'm Juan Pablo Montoya, maybe Kurt Busch, somebody like that, I might take that shot. You know, short pit the guys a little bit and see if I can get some position on them.
Right here you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. losing another spot to Montoya. He would be a perfect candidate for an early stop, wouldn't he, Ray?
Yeah, I think so. Again, he's a guy that doesn't have a lot to lose. Winning a race could be big to him. He's not in the chase. He's really not a big threat for points, so he could take that gamble. It's the only way he could probably beat the 17 and the 11.
And all the strategy will go away because of the spin there.
Great, we didn't hit anything.
Now the caution's
out.
Caution flag now for the 7th time of day here in the Pep Boys Auto 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
So much for all that strategy.
Yeah, that was a nice discussion y'all had there, though. I was enjoying that.
Now this will be the money stop. They're going to have to come on and get off.
And they can easily make it from here now, so this is really going to count on pit road. All these spots are really going to be important.
You know, these all of it, literally these top 4 guys have all been very good on pit road. Carl Edwards' team not quite as good as the other guys, but certainly Hamlin, Kenseth, and Kurt Busch have been exceptional on pit road all day.
Looks like another right rear tire going down, maybe on Michael Waltrip's car. He's really struggled with that thing today. It looks like it's up now. Looks like he maybe just lost it.
Yeah, just got loose down the bottom. They've had to literally put almost a whole right rear quarter panel on that thing.
This will get the 31 car, Jeff Burton, the free pass to get back on the lead lap.
Jeff ran hard through that segment there to keep in that position and get himself back on the lead lap and see if he can make up a few more spots, get a few more points.
Well, the 17 guys have been good on pit road. The 11 guys able to get that launch off of pit road a moment ago by 0.6 of a second. Who's it going to be?
Hard to bet against that 17 team. They've done such a good job consistently. Here they come.
Shannon?
Matt Kenseth says the car is still loose. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Plus, they're going to take a quarter pound of air out of the left side tires and a tear off that 17. Mike?
Kurt Busch really unhappy with his car over that last run, saying the car felt like it was leaning over on the right front. The rear end not hooking up at all. Expect them to make a track bar adjustment and a 4-tire change, Dave.
Denny Hamlin started to say the end of that run was kind of loose. I may be exaggerating. Let's not change it. 4 tires, no changes. Sunoco fuel for the 11 car. And then the 48 and the 99 at the head of pit road. The 99 complaining just a little bit, needs to be freed up in the center of the corner. They'll do that. 4-tire change for the 48 as well. 99 gets through cleanly, barely missing the 48.
Contact, though, with the 88 car involved coming off, and it'll be Hamlin the first, barely getting out in front of Kenseth. Then Kurt Busch. Montoya gains a spot. Edwards will back 2. Harvick up 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of contact here with the 99 and the 88. The 2.
Oh, Dale Jr. gets it from both sides. Looks like they got all the room in the world here at this racetrack, but they always seem to come together right here.
Wow.
What should be the final pit stop, and now the final 35 laps. Should be a heck of a shootout here at Atlanta.
After we settle this one today in Atlanta, it's on to the Texas Motor Speedway, the NASCAR calendar next weekend. Craftsman Truck Series Friday night, 8:30 Eastern on Speed. Then Saturday, our coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. ESPN 2, 3 Eastern time from Texas. And the Dickies 500 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, 3 Eastern next Sunday on ABC. A triple header in Texas next weekend. So the final set of pit stops, Denny Hamlin holds off Matt Kenseth. and Hamlin really just had to hold the advantage he had getting to pit road.
This is why it's so important to be leading. If you look, you know, Denny had some lap cars in between. He and Matt, he got the pit road. He had a 3-car length advantage of him before they hit the yellow line.
Because you're not allowed to what's called pull up to pit. Matt can't really pass those lap cars to get up right behind Denny Hamlin. So Hamlin's team held that advantage, and now he is going to be the leader on this restart, Doc, with 32 laps to go.
Barring no cautions, folks, we're going to take you all the way to the checkered flag. And by the way, the last 3 years, the winner of this race has also gone on to win next week at Texas. So it could be an omen, possibly, if whoever can pull it off. Let's listen in as we go full throttle.
Green flag, come on. Still inside. Still down there, still there. Still there. Inside. Clear. Inside corner. Clear low. Clear by 2. Inside. Inside. No smoke, bud. All clear, man. All clear. Clear about 1 on the 2. Slow car clear. All clear. 55. Slow car ahead on the bottom. Clear. Very nice. Clear about 1 on the 2. Clear about 4. Half back to the 18 with you. Clear low.
Juan Pablo Montoya trying to move in now on the 4th position of Carl Edwards. They were 3 wide a moment ago with 30 laps to go at Atlanta.
He knows it's time to go, and he is up on that steering wheel.
Yeah, there's no holding back now. These guys have to get everything that they can. You see Carl Edwards there after that contact on pit road, trying to make his way back towards the front. Dave?
An interesting radio chatter before they went back to green was both the 99 and the 88. They were both looking at each other's cars, giving some input on the little contact they had, and both reasoned that they should both continue without heading down back down pit road.
Carl looks like a good choice. Carl trying to go to the high side of Kurt Busch here.
Denny Hamlin the leader, Kenseth, then Kurt Busch, Edwards, Montoya the top 5, Kyle Busch, Earnhardt Jr. back in 7th spot.
Yeah, Kirk's down on the bottom here. He's going to make Carl earn this the tough way. Carl likes to run on the bottom for these first 8 or 10 laps. Now he's going to might get that run to the inside. See if he can make the pass. They go down into turn 1 here. He's able to clear him by a little. Kirk's going to come back on the outside with a run, but I believe Carl's got enough room there for this pass.
Carl needs to get up there and win this race to gain points in this championship chase, and he knows it, so he's just still trying to get every spot possible.
Teammates battling here. Jeff Gordon trying to go underneath the 48 car. Caution debris on the racetrack. Down in turn 1 in the groove, and the NASCAR spotter said we got to put the yellow out to go pick it up.
Right. Wow, here another problem with the 55 car. Debris keeps falling off of this thing.
Yeah, they tried to tape a rear quarter panel on this car and a right rear quarter window too. Looks like part of it's missing there, so just a long, tough day for Michael Waltrip. Denny Hamlin really didn't want to see his cars. He jumped out to a nice little lead on these guys after that restart.
He got in a huge lead on these guys. At the very first lap, Brian Newman was able to get in front of Denny Hamlin, and I thought that was going to hold him up a little bit, but Denny Hamlin just motored on by and pulled about 2 seconds on those guys.
Yeah, there we see the debris. Andy, you mentioned early on, these guys said if they ran 4 or 5 laps, they'd be in to get tires. What are they going to do?
Well, we'll see right here. I don't think they'll pit. I don't think the first 10 cars will, but you'll see some of the guys in the second half of this lead lap group may come down and get tires. At least the guys at the back of it will.
12 car will get the free pass there. Ryan Newman won the truck race here yesterday.
Matt Kenseth was faking like he was coming.
There's a few of them coming down here.
Montoya comes in.
24, 29, Harvick is there. Here is Jeff Gordon also in the pits. Let's go down to the 42 pits. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon comes in 9th. He said huge improvement after that last stop. They made a wedge adjustment. No adjustments this time. 4 tires. Mike?
Juan Pablo Montoya real happy with the race car, asking for no changes, but wants fresh rubber. They'll take on 4 tires and a little bit of fuel. No changes on Montoya's car. Oh, contact on pit road, though.
Heavy damage. Oh, my heavens. Juan Pablo Montoya. Look at him just hold that left hand.
Lane, it's in 1 lane.
They ripped the entire front end off this 42 car. It's a really, really tough break for these guys.
Clint Boyer, who was a lap down, in 18th position coming by as the 42 was pulling out of his pits.
Yeah, and the reason the lap down car can be on pit road this first time, Nascar called a quickie caution.
Oh, wow. That's just too bad. They had such a good run, worked hard all day to get in position. And this is actually great strategy, making this pit stop from where he was.
Let's talk to our in-race reporter, Carl Edwards, currently in 3rd spot.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You got it?
Clear.
All right, we've seen you battle all day. Have you got enough to get up there and take the lead away from Hamlin?
Man, I don't know. That car's fast, but tell you what, I'm having fun. That last run was a little more fun than the ones before. It's cool to be able to pass people. So you guys made a good call, and man, I hope we can get up there. What do we got, 24 laps or something? That should be a good little Saturday night race.
Yeah, we've seen the guys get out front with that clean air. Is it that important that you be out there and have that clean air, Carl?
Yeah, it really seems like, especially in the long run, you know, because it's real hard to get a run on somebody. So on a short run here, it looks like you can kind of race pretty hard. So that's what we'll do right now and we'll see if we can get that clean air.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Working on the 42 car after the damage on pit road, trying to get that nose put back on.
Clint Boyer's also in the pits trying to see if they can fix his car from where they got some of that damage on the left side.
We told you Atlanta Motor Speedway has been known for great finishes over the years. 5 times in race history we've had a last lap pass for the win. 2 of the last 3 races here, the driver who was leading with 10 laps to go did not win the race. They saw some more debris, so they've waved off the restart here for 1 more lap.
It's going to be interesting to see. This looks like a 3-car race, and I believe any one of those first 3 can win. Kurt Busch has had a great day. Don't know that he's shown the speed in the shorter runs other than the one time that he got out front, but he's back in traffic. Doesn't seem like he has the car. We see Kyle Busch back there in 5th, right behind his brother. Be interesting to see exactly what he can do, but Denny Hamlin's our leader right now. Dave?
And he needs to nail this restart. Remember, he spun the tires on one earlier. And don't forget, last year, he was the restart leader with 4 to go when water in the fuel caused his engine to stumble and he got taken out from behind. It was the worst kind of luck, Denny said, because we couldn't even adjust or plan for that or strategize for that. It just happened. So he wants this restart to happen and happen now and happen well for Hamlin. Let's check in on the 17, Shannon.
Down here with Chip Bolin, crew chief for Matt Kenseth. I just heard Matt come over the radio and say he thinks this car is going to be good on the long runs. Do you have enough laps to catch that 11?
There's definitely enough laps left there. It's just got the guys that are restarting 10th with tires, if we're able to get far enough ahead of them that they can't catch us but still get around the 11.
All right, great run for this 17 team today. They definitely need this with the way that their chase has been so far. Doc?
Thanks, Shannon. We might update the 83 Brian Vickers 1-lap penalty for pitting out of the box here on this latest pit stop under caution number 8.
It's going to be very important for these guys to jump on Denny Hamlin early. They don't let him get out there. They can't let him get out there and get a lead like he did on the last restart.
Problem is, Carl wants to be the guy to jump on him. So does Matt. A couple of Roush Fenway guys behind him, and the 11 car thinking about cannot spin these tires on this restart again.
You have to be careful not to think about that too much, because if you don't get up to speed, these guys will run over you or go past you, have more momentum as you get out of turn 1. So yeah, you want to be careful not to spin the tires, but you also have to get up and get going.
Here we go, 23 to go. Hamlin under attack, and he will take the green flag.
He slipped those rear tires just a little bit on that initial go.
That allowed Matt Kenseth to stay right with him. Man, Hamlin's car is really good through that first corner. Looks like he can almost hold it wide. wide open once he gets into high gear and running through that corner. We see Carl trying to duck down and take the second spot away from Matt Kenseth. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Carl says it's my turn. I'm going to go after him myself here.
Okay. Oh, we got another crash.
Big crash. The 42 involved. 41 Sorensen.
Oh, and Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton. Joe Nemechek gets in it towards the end. Wow. Montoya's day just went from bad like a top 5 to in the garage area here. See Jeff Burton getting his car fired back up, trying to pull away.
Dave Blaney not able to pull away.
Looks like he got the worst in along with the 42 of this.
Joe Nemechek able to get his damaged car to pit road anyway. Oh, look at the whole front end of this car just pushed back in.
Jeff Burton's got some pretty significant damage in the front of his car.
You can see the splitter barely hanging on, but what part is there is on the ground. So watch the battle here. They enter turn 3 right here.
Blaney sliding backwards. There's the contact with Burton.
Yeah, it looked like Blaney tried to come down, thought he had that slot open, and Jeff Burton was trying to fill that spot on the bottom of the racetrack, and they got together.
Close calls right there. Cars just missing this accident.
Now let's look and see what Jeff Burton's view was.
Yeah, you can see that he took the option. He was going to take that option to the inside. He thought that Blaney was hung in the middle and wasn't going to be able to get to the bottom, and he was trying to fill that hole as Blaney came down.
Looked like Dave Blaney was just trying to get out of the way and didn't realize that Jeff Burton made the move to the bottom.
Yeah, this looks simple, maybe enough from this, but when you're inside the seat running at close to 200 miles an hour on the entrance of that corner, things happen in a hurry. We've gone a little over 300 laps and not really had a significant accident here today, or at least nothing with more than one car involved, and all of a sudden get a lot of them torn up.
Juan Pablo Montoya now climbing out after having this car in the top 6 for the last 65 laps. Been in the top 10 most of the day.
Yeah, very frustrating time. You run well all day and work hard and then have an incident on pit road, and that's what puts you in the position to be involved in this accident.
Dave Blaney was hoping to celebrate his 300th career start with a little better finish than he got here. Here's the 41 car, Sorensen, the home state boy from Peachtree City, Georgia. His car headed back to the garage, making repairs now on the 31.
They've got a lot of damage here they got to fix. That's just such a disappointment for Juan Montoya. Man, what a great race he'd run. Just a victim, really.
Juan's a pretty fiery individual, very, very emotional. I was around him in open wheel for a number of years, and he is intense in the car, and he just waved off our cameras and wanted to get collect his thoughts and didn't want to talk right now. Sometimes that's for the best.
Yeah, you can understand his frustration right now.
Jeff Burton able to get back on the racetrack, damage and all, on his 31 car.
If you remember, Burton had gotten back on the lead lap with the free pass a couple of cautions ago.
He's still on the lead lap, but he's got a lot of damage to fix, and if they could just get it patched up, we've only got 20 laps to go. He may not lose too many more spots. By being on the lead lap, he'll have a little bit of cushion on the cars that could actually pass him for position.
Right now, Burton would lose a position in the point standings. He's being shown 188 points, back in 4th spot. Jimmie Johnson right now has a 157-point lead over the 16 car. Here are the cars involved in the crash again. Heavy damage on Blaney. Burton back on the racetrack. Sorensen in the garage area. Juan Pablo out of the car. And front end damage on the 78 of Joe Nemechek.
And the shadows just get longer and longer on the racetrack, so it's going to change even more. Looks to me like, though, the change in this racetrack has favored the 11 car of Denny Hamlin.
Well, he just rocketed off that corner after the restart a moment ago. Just pulled away. Carl had to deal with passing the 17 to get the second.
And don't see any takers among most of the lead lap cars here as we work the 9th caution flag of this race, the 7th in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And we move on from here. Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead Miami Speedway to wrap up the season. All those races televised live on ABC, 3 Eastern time for each of the final trio. And 3 exciting racetracks, 3 very different locations in the United States. And we hope that you'll be with us for our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season finales. Aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear. Get there on silent armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. Tell you who's been tough today here at Atlanta. Jimmie Johnson, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship leader. Dave, right now, he's gone from 30th after the penalty up to 7th.
Yep, he's hanging in there in the top 10 right now, Alan. And Chad, it seemed like a day started out well, and then when he got back in traffic there after the penalty and everything, it just didn't seem to run quite as well.
No, this, we've been talking about all year track position is very important with this car, and, unfortunately we had a little penalty on pit road, so we had to go back and we lost that lap, but, Jimmie did a great job fighting back, and the Cobalt car's been running pretty well. Honestly, I don't know how good it could be. If we could get out front, it'd be interesting to see how fast it was. But, I think we've got an opportunity to get a good top 10 finish here, and that's what we need to do after getting pushed back there that far.
You talked to him about just grabbing a couple more positions before this is over to get some more of that clean air. Do you think he's got the car to do it?
I think so. We've been real quick, and it just seems like when you get up behind somebody, you get caught up in lap traffic or any traffic for that matter, you lose a lot of speed. I mean, you can see that with the 2 when he was out front, the 11's out front now, and just whoever gets out front really seems to check out. So if we can just get a couple of spots, maybe we can get, a good top 5, but we're just going to have to see what we can do.
All right, this Chase leading team managing what's been a rough day.
All right, Dave, thanks. On our NASCAR countdown at the start of the day, we talked about the 48 team and being impressed with not just the fact that they're dominating this championship, but the way they're going about it. A little different story today, but again, got to be impressed.
We are impressed. I mean, there's all kind of problems they went through early in the deal, and now they're just stayed tough. They worked through it. They haven't had a problem. They're back up to 7th right now. In fact, they've actually gained their point lead. They pulled away a little bit. But, man, the guy I feel bad for right now, Jeff Burton. Here's a guy that's been in a point hunt. Now he's got a big crash. Tough deal.
Yeah, tough day for Jeff Burton. But, yeah, once again, Jimmie Johnson, kudos to that race team. Got him back from a lap down. Jeff's going to try to work on his race car, get back on the track. But what about Juan Pablo Montoya? He had a great race going today, and it's over.
He really did, and that is a shame. There was a guy that had a shot maybe to win this thing. But 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, Chad. I think Chad said a key thing there. When he even said it on Jimmie before on the radio and said, well, I really can't fix that in traffic. He doesn't know how good his car could be out front. We saw him make a change before, didn't work. Car went backwards a little bit. They undid it, and now he's moved back up into 7th spot. Another guy we haven't talked about all the way from the back, a lap down early, Biffle back up to 9th.
Yeah, so a guy trying to save his championship hopes here and get out of Atlanta without losing too many points. We saw the big crash a few minutes ago while they finished cleaning up. Jamie is with one of the drivers involved.
And Dave Blaney, the only driver that had to come back to the medical center. He was running 21st at the time of the incident. First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What did you see happen?
I don't really know. I slipped off turn 2, and they kind of got on both sides of me, and I don't know if I drove down on Jeff on 31 or what happened. I really don't have to see it. I hate we tore up some race cars, though.
All right, unfortunate day for Dave Blaney. Perhaps the biggest hit in points was Jeff Burton. Still working on his car, guys. Right now, he's lost 1 position in the points. Doc?
Well, what a mess here in the final laps of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and what a championship performance by Jimmie Johnson. Poise, patience, and that's added points to his lead. But what about these final laps? Could we see Carl Edwards do what he did back in the spring of '05?
He's going to have to do something. They got to make something happen. This was an opportunity day for some guys to make up points, and Jimmie Johnson has actually gained points on them.
Yeah, terrific job. And, Dale Earnhardt told me one time during a championship season, said, you'll remember days like Jimmie Johnson's having here where you could have had a disastrous day and you made it into something. Those are the days you'll remember more than your victories, and that's the way this team could be after today.
This should be fun to watch. Now, here's where our points guys are restarting here with should be about 16 laps to go. We get to the green. You see Jimmie back in 7th spot. Biffle has come back from a bad day to be in the top 10. Carl is 2nd. See Hamlin is the leader. It'll be very interesting. Carl Edwards said early in the weekend, he said, I want to make this a championship chase, these final 4 races. Remember, Carl won in the Nationwide car at Memphis yesterday. This could be a weekend he will never forget, but he's got to get around Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he's got to go and getting ready for the restart. This sun's becoming a problem for these guys, too, going down into turn 1 and off of turn 4 as it starts setting even more. It'll be interesting to see if that comes into effect as the green flag waves.
16 to go. They're 3 wide, and
here he goes.
Hamlin down on the inside. Here comes Carl Edwards.
Carl gets a run right here. Man, wasted no time. He took that lane that Denny Hamlin's been running.
He got right up on the bumper of this 11 car, and I believe he kind of helped him slip those rear tires. And here goes Carl Edwards to the lead.
Carl just goes right by Hamlin. Now can he hold on? Here comes the 18 car of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he's trying to take that third spot away from Matt Kenseth. He wants to be a part of this.
Side by side, Busch and Kenseth for third position.
Yeah, the only time we've really shown and talked about Kyle Busch today was whenever he was sideways a few times. And here he is battling for third spot late in the race.
He saw the pay window open, and he decided to get going here.
Yeah, he's kind of going to get blocked out right there. He's going to have to fall in behind Matt Kenseth and try to make another run at him as they go by the 77 car.
Hamlin now is settled in and starting to reel back in on the 99 car.
I think this is quite a shock to Denny Hamlin. He might have thought that Carl was going to be a problem, but I don't think that he thought it would come that quickly on the restart.
That was a great restart for Carl Edwards. He was right up against the back bumper of the 11 car when they took off.
You can see Denny moving up a lane because Carl's on the bottom, and he knows that if he tries to run in those tracks, that he's going to lose the front end of his car.
Carl pulled him by some 4 car lengths that lap by.
We're seeing fast times like we saw at the beginning of this race now. They're back down. That's how much this racetrack's cooled off, that they're able to run that kind of speed.
Jimmy Johnson back there. That's in the 8th position. Jeff Gordon is 9th. McMurray is 10th. Caution.
in the groove. Just look for it over there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Debris over in turn 2, so that'll bring out caution for the 10th time today.
Yeah, we'll see.
Here we go again.
What Denny Hamlin can do on a restart behind Carl Edwards. There's your debris. Right in the middle of the race. Well, no, that's actually down off, but I think it's just rolled down. It was up in the racing groove, and then since they've quit running, it's moved down off the track, but it's something that they had to contend with before it rolled off.
Let's watch that last restart. You see Carl was right up on the bumper of this 11. See, 11 car slips the tires just a little bit. Gives him just a little shot.
Man, that was being up on the wheel and ready to go right there, standing on the gas. Riding along with Carl Edwards here. See him get through the gears. A little touch there.
Just enough to rattle his cage.
That's right, rattled that, and it also gave him the outside lane, which he was wanting. He knew that momentum and to run wide open off of that corner. That was where he needed to be.
You think Denny Hamlin will remember that touch on this next restart?
I'm sure he's going to remember it, but can he get his traction enough to get up there
to do something about it?
Yeah.
Every restart we've seen this 11 car at least slip the rear tires, if not spin them.
I mentioned before, but the history here recently is that the guy who led with 10 to go 2 out of the last 3 years hasn't won the race.
So that doesn't look good for Carl now, right?
Let's check in on the 11 pits, Dave.
And Mike Ford was talking to his driver during this caution, and the driver replied back, I just haven't been able to get traction on these restarts all day. We saw it earlier, and that time he spun the tires as well. He says, I don't know what it is. And Mike reminded him, just get those tires cleaned off, load up the carburetor, but still, even though he's been doing those things, doesn't just appear to have the restart nailed down today.
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have us?
I got you, Dale.
Hey, man, that was a nice move on that restart. Can you hold him off now?
I hope so. He spun the tires the first time, and I got in line with him and thought, I'll just push him here. And then he spun him again and got to the outside of him. But, yeah, now it's my turn to see if I can keep these things under me.
Hey, Carl, is the track have that much more grip? We're seeing lap times really fast now, like back when the race started.
Yeah, you know, we're going in the shade right here, and it gets a little more grip. Plus, I have a feeling everybody's standing on the, you know, the loud pedal there a lot more right now.
All right, man, good luck.
Thanks, Dave.
48 on pit road, getting tires. Jimmy Johnson is away. Chad Canals and bringing him in to get some fresh rubber on him for these final 10 laps. Let's check in the 18 pits. Mike.
And Doc catching up with Steve Addington now. It seems like this is the best your car's been all day. How much better is it right now than it was at the beginning of the event?
From listening to him, it's a ton better. You know, I think that everybody did a good job on making a comeback here because we started the race, we weren't very good, and we've made a lot of adjustments on this car, and Kyle's drove the wheels off of it, and we'll see what we got here at the end.
Still, you got a few positions to make up. Can you contend for the win?
I don't know. Them guys have been good all day long. I mean, give it a shot here. If he gets him a good restart, he'll get all he can. You can guarantee you that now.
That's a pretty fair guarantee, Doc, based upon what we've seen from Kyle Busch this year.
Indeed it is. And Kyle, of course, roaring back in this chase after all the frustrations in the early events. He won it here. First time for Toyota back in March. To be the 20 car going by, Tony Stewart getting the free pass. He was the first car a lap down, getting back on the lead lap. Well, it was back in 2005, a weekend that Carl Edwards said he would never, ever forget at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He had not won in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition, and he had to beat one of the best, Jimmie Johnson. Final lap, cousin Carl rubs and bumps and gets it done to take his first win. And for the first time, the signature somersault. And he got both the nationwide win and the Cup win that weekend. Could it be? And remember, this weekend he's already got the nationwide victory.
He's got one, and he's got the lead right now. 10 laps to go. He's ready to go. Get up on this wheel.
You could hear him get the car back into second gear, revving up, just keeping those rear tires cleaned off a little bit, working the steering wheel to keep the front. You know, in Denny Hamlin's case, it might sometimes it's a little bit better if you're that second guy. You tend to be able to get a little bit of an ease up and run there than when you're starting the race because you're trying to get after it so much to stay in front of it. We're hearing a lot of the drivers radioing into their crews about how hard it is to see now as this sun continues to set and getting down into turn one. You really get down in there and literally can't see anything for about 400 or 500 feet.
We saw that on that replay when we were looking out of Carl Edwards' car up to Denny Hamlin. You could just barely see the car in front of you. See, right here is where it starts to get bad.
Yeah, really starts to pick up right here. Your guy out front, it's not nearly as bad because you kind of can know where the racetrack is, and that's what you're looking at. But you do get blinded, and it makes it tough. But especially if you're back in traffic, it makes it extremely difficult to race right now.
Wow. Look at Jimmie Johnson, how hard it is to be able to see what's below him.
And you can see with all these cars, just like Dale said, when you have these cars in front of you, you don't know how much room to leave these guys. Basically, it looks like Jimmy's feeling his way around there.
Heavy shadows once you get into turns 1 and 2, and the sun as you're trying to come off the straightaway into the turn.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You know, as I look down this list, we talked about a lot of people, and Andy, you just pointed it out to me. A.J. Allmendinger, we've been watching him throughout the day. He's just had another solid day in this 10 car. He's up in the 15th spot right now, so let's give a call to A.J. for doing a great job. Dave, how about the 99?
DJ, that glare going into turn 1 forces Carl to concentrate as much as he can on the line going in and not on the driver behind him or drivers. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch will try to jump him. He has less vision around him now. He'll rely on his spotter, Jason Hedleski, to give him a heads up.
Coming up next, ABC World News or your local news after what should be a fabulous, typical Atlanta Motor Speedway finish.
And from 11th on back, they've got new tires here. They pitted and got tires. Jimmie Johnson's the first guy that has them. Chad Canals puts Jimmie back on offense. That's probably a good move on their part.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's single file restart here, so that's a great move on their part.
Can Carl hold them off? Here we go. It'll be 8 to go.
Is he going to take the middle lane going into turn 1 and through that corner, or is he going to go to the bottom?
Whichever lane he takes, I know he's going to be full throttle.
Yeah, he goes to the bottom. We can see as Matt Kenseth tries to make a run on Denny Hamlin.
And here come the Busch brothers, and Kurt, back behind Kenseth.
Boy, a great start by Carl Edwards there, though. He got himself out about 6 or 8 car lengths. That's a nice little cushion for him.
Brand new tires. Look at Jimmie Johnson. Whoa, he goes to the outside of Truex. Just blows by. Let's see what he can do with his teammate, Jeff Gordon.
He's coming, boys.
Yeah, we talk about this race team and how good they are. Man, they make good calls, too. They get themselves in position. Great call by Chad Canals to come get 4 tires on this car.
See, Split Jr.
Earnhardt Jr., 6th position. Jimmie just able to go by him now.
Yeah, he's got a sight set on Jeff Gordon there. These guys are going to try to make a top 5 finish out of this thing. And he has enough time to do that. He's in the 7th spot right now, right behind Jeff Gordon.
Go get him, dude.
6 laps to go.
Just remember when they were back in 30th after that penalty.
And they were just some 90 points ahead. They had lost about 70 points because of going a lap down for a speeding on pit road penalty.
That's his actual car owner, Jeff Gordon, who's right in front of him. How hard is he going to race him? Well, there's no match for those new tires.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how hard he races. He can't hold those new tires off.
Yeah, here's the 5th place car that he's going to go by before he gets to turn 1.
I don't think he's finished.
What a call by Chad Canals to bring him on pit road, put fresh Goodyears on, and everyone else is sitting duck out there.
That was a great call by Chad. He's going to get another spot before the end of this race. He's got Kyle Busch up ahead of him, and he's catching him pretty quick. Might even get more.
He might get more. Carl Edwards has jumped out to over a 1.5 second lead. That's why we're not showing you that. We're going to watch and see just how much Jimmy Johnson could get. This is just a remarkable comeback for these guys.
From 30th to a possible top 5 or better finish at Atlanta. That is a championship performance.
Well, David Reagan, another nice run. You see splitting Jeff Gordon there, battling Jamie McMurray, and also the 2-car, Kurt Busch.
Again, these are new tires on these cars. That's why you see Jeff Gordon slipping back. He doesn't have as fresh tires as the guys in front.
This is 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Kurt Busch is 6th. Here comes McMurray on the high side. Here comes David Reagan on the inside of him.
Here we go, into the 4th spot here. 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. Just shows how good. These guys said that these tires were good for up to 10 laps, and that's all that they had. And what made this such a great call was it was a single file restart. Didn't have to deal with the lap cars.
We got a caution flag and a green, white, and checker. They may be in trouble with Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he's still coming. He's maybe going to get another spot. He's got 3 laps to get it done. 2.5 laps.
Carl Edwards just hanging on for dear life out there with 3 laps to go.
2.
Nice
and smooth, buddy. Nice and smooth.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson for that 3rd spot with Matt Kenseth. You know, we heard Dave Burns ask Carl Edwards before the race about going out there and doing all you could do, and it might not be enough. And this is exactly what he's talking about, because this 48 team just makes something out of what could have been a disaster today, and he's going to gain very few points.
He's going to get another spot here. Denny Hamlin ahead of him. He's still got another lap.
How about that? He could end up finishing 2nd.
White flag. One more time. Bring him back here.
See Hamlin really fighting the steering wheel right there.
This is the final lap, so no chance of a green, white checker, but here comes Jimmy Johnson on Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he gave him that outside. I was a little surprised there. If he makes that run, if we talk about this turn 4 pass, it's not going to be for the win this year, but it might be for 2nd spot. There's Carl Edwards.
Here's the battle for 2nd as they are in turn 3. Carl Edwards, coming out of turn 4 cut. As the 48 makes the pass, and Carl Edwards will come down and win for the 7th time in 2008. And Jimmy Johnson finishes 2nd.
Unbelievable. What a great day for those guys. Man,
what a remarkable performance. All week long, we talked about Jimmy.
Good job, driver.
Carl Edwards did all he could do to try to gain points, but it's just so hard to make points on Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, all week long we talked about Jimmy Johnson chasing history. When they had the checkered flag, it was Jimmy Johnson chasing Carl.
Watch this as Jimmy Johnson gets down into turn 3. He gets right on the side of Denny Hamlin. I guess this car, you see it start getting loose right there. Almost overcorrected and got into the 48.
Great job saved by Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, it was.
Not to cause the crash. Look at this crew right here.
Wow.
Boy, Chad, you should be very proud. I bet you are proud of this guys, Rick Hendrick, because what a call by Chad Canals. And here is Carl Edwards, and the fans here know what's coming next.
And looked like they were going to take a day and could be disastrous for this 48 team, and they actually gained 34 more points. Carl Edwards with this, just a really, really good, solid day in winning this race.
He did a doubleheader win in 2005. He wins yesterday and today. Carl, a winner in the NASCAR Sprint Cup race at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Nice to see our in-race reporter do well. What a great job Carl did with us in talking all day long, answering all the questions.
Let's go down where Mike is caught up with the crew chief.
And quite a day for the 99 team. What can you say about your driver's ability? Just saw on that wheel and handle a loose race car at a place like this.
I can't say enough about him, that's for sure, you know. We struggled a little bit on pit road today. For a while, my plans worked out with the 48 struggling, but you know, that's a great program right there. They battled back and were able to kind of box us in a little bit on pit road, so we lost some spots there. last quarter of the race, but you know, made a good adjustment there at the end with the driver's guidance, and that car came alive, and the driver got up on the wheel, and he went after it past 3 cars from the last time we stopped.
And a good display of sportsmanship too, Jamie. Chad Knaus came over to congratulate Bob Osborne at the conclusion of this race.
And Chad Knaus called his driver brilliant, and it was all celebration at the end. Jimmy, was that the best your car had been this entire race?
We had segments where it was better, but having new tires versus those other guys, that was just a great call. I mean, a risky call, and you know, it just shows that Chad's out there racing. He's not trying to ride around and you know, just get points. He's out there trying to earn them. And he called me for tires and told me to put my cape on, and off we went. So I'm very happy that we got a second place today. The Scobalt Tools Chevrolet was good. I guess he made a mistake getting onto pit road and got nailed for a speeding violation, and then we just fought to get back. So I'm leaving here very happy. It's almost like a win today.
People are going to say you guys just have this magic about you. You said it wasn't necessarily the best the car had been, but on the restart with 8 to go, you guys were 11th, and you went all the way to 2nd, Jimmy. What was that like?
It was fun. It was great passing all those guys, and I had to go down and thank Denny for not getting into me. I got to his outside going into 3, and I think it affected his car a little bit and got him loose. Unfortunately, didn't get me, so I had to thank him for that. But you know, this track has turned into like an oversized Darlington, and it's just a tough place to get a hold of. They came with a new tire. I'm not sure the tire gave us much help or relief, but we were sideways. Everybody was all day long. It was a tough day.
It's days like this that win championships. Shannon, he secures his points lead. It's 180 plus. Shannon?
A wild last lap for Denny Hamlin. 3rd place finish, but you're very disappointed. Why?
We had a race-winning car there, and just you know, our car didn't like those cycles on those cautions. We had the field licked, and we had that debris caution. It just changed the whole complexity of the race. And when that happens, you got to take it for what it's worth. You know, we tried to do the best we could. Our car did not like cycles at all. Throughout the day, our car wasn't good on cycles. So, but my car gave me my team gave me the best car they've ever given me here. They gave me an opportunity to win. My pit crew did awesome. We just weren't able to capitalize.
All right, Denny Hamlin finishes 3rd. Doc?
3 races to go now in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. In the point standings, Jimmy Johnson gains 34 points today. There's the margin, 183 over Carl Edwards, who gains 2 positions. Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon both up a spot. Clint Bowyer back 2 positions in the standings. What a final effort for Jimmy Johnson to come from 11th to 2nd in the final 8 laps. And how about this guy? Cousin Carl Edwards led 6 times for 98 laps. Let's go down to Dave Burns.
We've already had the celebration on the track, taking the checker, doing the backflip, and now in victory lane with your crew. To talk about retaking the lead on lap 309 and driving away.
Man, first of all, just got to thank Office Depot, Aflac, Ford, Sprint. These Samsung Instinct phones are great. And mostly the fans for coming out here. But, man, that last restart, or the second to last restart, Denny spun his tires. And I spun mine a little bit, and then he spun them again. And I pushed his bumper, and then he spun them again. And he went to the inside, and I thought, man, here's my chance to get to the outside. And I really didn't think he was going to spin him that second time. Thought I was going to bump him, and he was going to keep on going. And figured I'd follow him for a while. But it just worked out great. I can't thank my guys enough. And, man, we went to the Aflac Cancer Hospital and met this kid, Dalton. He gave me this necklace. This is his Courage necklace. Really cool kid, and it's really awesome. He said this would bring me luck. So an awesome weekend for us, and I just can't believe how great this weekend is.
Now you're going to need some more courage, because we talked at the beginning of the day about doing all that you could do. You saw who finished 2nd behind you.
Who finished 2nd?
The 48.
Are you kidding me?
He came all the way back. They took tires, and he drove back to 2nd place now, so you've still got some work to do.
Man, you've rained on my parade all day.
I'm sorry. I'm telling the truth.
Could have done without that one. Jimmy's an awesome competitor. I mean, Chad and Rick and all those guys came down and thanked me, but or congratulated me. But that's unbelievable. He does a great job. Got to thank the engine department, the guys who build these race cars, Jack Roush, for giving me this opportunity. This whole weekend, it's just unbelievable I get to do this. It's very awesome.
And you've got 3 more good tracks coming up for you.
Yeah, 3 more good tracks for us. And, man, Jimmy's magic. We gotta go win those next 3 and hope for the best.
Carl was magic today. He's in victory lane, Alan.
And so next week it is on to Texas. Carl will have another chance to do a double. Saturday, the Nationwide Series race, ESPN 2, 3 Eastern time. And Sunday, race 8 in the chase for the Sprint Cup, the Dickies 500, ABC 3 Eastern. That is next weekend. World News or your local news is next, except on the West Coast. So Carl Edwards wins today in Atlanta, but Jimmy Johnson comes back from 30th place to finish second, and Johnson takes a big point lead to Texas next weekend. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC.